My DNB from Arvindai Hospital, Pondicherry.
All right. Okay.
Followed which I did my fellowship from Joshi Hospital, Hubli,
Oh,
Karnataka.
wow. Okay.
And we were there in Joshi just now because senior doctor Joshi, she will tell you, because
Yeah.
both of them had COVID, and this was about 2 weeks. We were last week. We were there.
Last week.
Okay.
Last week we were there, and both of them had COVID. And subsequently, they said that we are now fed up with nobody coming to our house, so everybody welcome. And it was very interesting. Both Madam and Dr. Joshi, both of them.
They
Yeah.
are both very nice, very humble and very nice individuals as well.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very nice. I
You-
spent this time quality time with their family, almost 2 or 3 hours with the kids and all, Dr. Srinivas kids. So it was really nice to see both of them healthy, and I mean, post COVID also they're perfectly fine. That's great to learn from them how they keep themselves. Very nice.
I had a wonderful time there. They were also the entire hospital and everybody was like a family to me. Learned a lot.
You are the same age as Dr. Srinivas Joshi?
Pardon?
You are Dr. Srinivas Joshi and you are the same age?
He's about 2 or 3 years elder to me.
Elder than you. Because I met also Dr. Hozakati. He is a diabetic foot surgeon, so he says he was his classmate. He's also been in Hubli. In fact, we have launched a new chemical entity for the first time in the world for diabetic foot ulcer.
Okay.
And in 20 years, this is the only third Indian company doing it, which is indigenous trials. And I went actually to that SDM hospitals to fix up the phase 3 and phase 4, future extended indications.
So we are currently, I think, live on Facebook now.
We are live in Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, that's the message.
We are live in Facebook, just to mention. Yeah. So there's Dr. Natarajan. Only sometime some 2 3 days back, he told me, he says this is the subject, and he doesn't ask you. He just puts it and says that Mr. Handa would introduce the subject. So I was wondering. I said the spirituality and healing is more medical, and uh, I actually have spirituality and management. So you are where you sit. It is cold there, is it?
It's very cold here, sir.
What is the temperature there?
So I don't know, it was around somewhere 11 or something. But
11.
today was a little bit warmer, but it's
Yeah.
fucking cold now.
Good evening, sir. Doctor, it is
Mr. Sivanandan.
Sivanandan
Good
sir
evening,
has
sir.
joined.
Buddy.
Good evening, sir.
If you know Dr. Natarajan, we know you.
Yes.
But Bombay and the citizens knew you even otherwise. That's all. So you have been. I think when you headed, you were Director General Police, Mumbai, and when you headed the state, I think, it was remarkable time.
Sir, kindly unmute yourself, sir. Sivanandan sir, kindly unmute yourself.
Yes. So I want to start once again. I wanted to wish you all a very good evening and best of luck for today's program. And sir, whatever you said about me, you could not hear me because of my muting. I said it's been God's grace that one has been able to do well and come out unscathed from the police service.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, sir, for all the good words you mentioned about me.
No, it's been wonderful because my father was with Mr. R.N. Kao. He was introduced. And
Don't tell me.
I was a small child when he, as a diplomat, they went to Kwame Nkrumah was the president of Ghana, and that's the time. So I've seen from those early 1960s. I was a very small child that time. So that means I have known Dr. Pastricha, and I have known Mr. Damble. Some of them were from the family here in Bombay.
G. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. You have a lot of police connections.
I have a
Great.
lot of respect for people in uniform.
Lovely, sir. Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. So today's program, what is it from 6:30 to 8 o'clock? What is the schedule, sir?
So they, Dr.
Sir,
Sonal
yeah,
Kalia
Sonal
has
Kalia. Sir,
joined.
the schedule is like the introduction is by Mr. Handa, followed by the presentation from Dr. Rohit Shetty, and then Dr. Natarajan, sir.
Okay, sir. I will mute myself and I'll be watching. Sir, Dr. Handa, please permit me to mute myself and be silent watching.
And we would like you to interrupt us anytime.
Absolutely no, sir. I want to be only a mute watcher. That's it. Please, sir. Please, please. I have to do a presentation in one more group in which Natarajan is also part of it. It is called CEO's Forum, no? CEO's Forum.
Yes,
He's also there. He knows. I got to speak about some organized crime today. So I want to watch you people performing, sir. Don't allow everybody like me, Tom, Dick, and Harry, to enter into your program. No, sir. I only wanted to be on the silent watch. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Natarajan. Good evening.
Hi, Nati.
Sir.
I wanted to wish you good luck. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Handa is president of the center, and the previous chairman of the company, Mr. Ranganekar, I had operated 30 years back. He was blind when he came. He already was blind with one eye, and then the other eye I operated. And he lived for 25 years and died about 5 years back.
Oh.
His son is the president of the vice president.
He's the
vice president of the company, and the company is merged with Germany. They made the first drug in the world for diabetes.
Very nice, Nati. Very nice. So I wanted to wish you good luck. Listen to me, Nati.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to wish you good luck for today's program. That's why I joined early.
And all this Karan Bhatia, then Sonali, and all of them are your followers. So I think it is a surprise to them because I didn't inform them you are joining with
No, but I am not opening my mouth today, and
yes,
I'll join for a separate program. I will come and do whatever interaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir,
now go ahead.
Sir, I just want to introduce. You can not talk, but I want to introduce Digvijay Singh is the president of Young Eye Doctors of India. And
sir,
there are 5,000.
Remove your COVID shield, sir.
Mask, yes, sir.
So that I can see you.
Yeah,
He's a busy practitioner. And
very nice.
It is nice to come in the evening.
Very nice.
So evenings are sometimes little occupied.
And plus, Mitali is the marketing manager, marketing director, and Aishwarya is our fellow. Sonal Kalia is actually, she's again a vice president of the Young Eye Doctor Society. And who else is there? Is Rohit Shetty, commander. Rohit? Good evening, Rohit. Rohit?
Perhaps.
Sir, Rohit Shetty is vice president of Narayan Netralaya. They are one of the upcoming, Hi, Rohit. Rohit, I just want to introduce you, my best friend, Shivanandan. And I'm sure you're watching about what I am write about him in the Facebook. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right. Right, sir. Right, sir. Rohit, so I know Shivanandan sir is going to observe, and he said he won't talk. And Rohit is doing a great job in Narayan Netralaya, sir, and training.
I know all about him, Nati. I know all about him from you only. You have only told me all these days all about him. So you don't have to introduce him. He is very well known. And well known because of you only, Nati.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have precisely told me all about him. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. All the best, Nati. All the best for your program.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Rohit, sir.
Yeah, hi.
How are you?
Good evening, Rohit sir. Good evening, Natarajan sir.
Good evening, Rohit sir. Nice seeing you again.
So should we start?
Yes, please. I think over to Dr. Aishwarya and Dr. Sonal. I mean, they're going to
I'm
have.
sorry, but Dr. Kairobi ma'am has not joined yet, I think.
Yes, yeah, she has not yet joined. Yes, she has not yet joined.
Yes.
I can ask Dr. Natarajan sir to.
Yes.
Sir, Dr.
Good
Karobi
evening.
ma'am has not yet joined us. I think she is.
Who's not joined?
Dr. Karobi ma'am.
Yeah, she was calling me. I don't know why. 1 second, I'll just connect her. She just called me. I couldn't. By the time I picked up, it got cut. I'm calling her. So I think we can start the program. And 1 second. In the meantime, I just hello. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you have not got the link. I'll send in this number.
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Divakant sir also is.
He has joined.
No, sir. He's. I think.
Okay, I've sent the link to here, Doctor. So okay. So in the meantime.
I think so. We're already live on Facebook and YouTube.
I think so. We should start.
Ma'am is here.
Dr. Karabi Lahiri, good evening, madam. How are you?
Hello, Karabi. Good evening.
Sir, let's start.
Yes, I will start.
Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself.
Dr. Karabi.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. Hi, Nati. Hi, Rohit.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Shivanand sir is there in the line, and he said he'll watch us. And today, because of the I informed him late, so it's my apologies to everybody. So today he said no. He said he'll talk later. Another program with the Young Ophthalmic Society of India, which we'll do exclusive only with him. And today is a well-wisher of Appa and.
Hello, Madam Doctor. Hello, Madam
How
Doctor.
are you, Mr. Sivanan?
Ma'am, I'm wonderful. I have to speak in another group called CEOs Forum. That's why I'm not speaking here. Ask Nati. Okay. Nati, you know, I have to speak in that CEOs Forum. You know that, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
know. You know very well that I got a commitment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, but your presence here is enough for us, sir.
Ma'am, I'm going to wait until a long time to listen to the whole thing. Yeah.
I know.
Sometimes one should learn also besides speaking, no?
I know. It's always nice to learn.
That's what I'm doing, ma'am. That's what I'm doing. Thank you. Nice meeting you, ma'am.
Same here. Same here.
Okay. So, Dr. Mr. Handa sir and Mitali, can we start live?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's already 6:36 ho gaya. Are we started?
Yes, sir.
Not live on. Okay. Yes. Good evening, everybody. And I take this opportunity to thank the good Lord, and I salute always Mata Pita Guru, and Guru is Dr. Badrinath, and Mitra Shivanandan. I'm happy he's here, and Deva, is last, but that's what I stand by, and I'm happy Rohit Shetty is with us. And with this, I just want to start the program. It is the 94th birth anniversary of my father, Dr. N.S. Sundaram. He was born in a town called Kulasekarapatnam, which is surprisingly a very famous town for a specific temple called Muttumaraman Temple, which is more than a few hundred years. And I recently went just to see the temple and my father's house. And with this, I want to introduce our the president of Centaur Lab, who's our guest of honor, who's going to introduce the program. And I'm just sharing the screen. So today's program is Dr. N.S. Sundaram, a life full of inspiration. And he was telling this, and he had it in his own presentation, which was prepared by him. And I actually copied the slide. Success comes from passionate, devoted, and dedicated work. And that's what he was doing. And so this is Mr. Handa. So Mr. Ajay Kumar Handa, president of the Centaur Pharmaceutical Private Limited, Public Limited, started in 1980 with Squibb, ER and Sons, Sarabhai Chemicals in 1980. At present, he holds the position of a president, Centaur Pharmaceuticals Private Limited. He is associated with Centaur for over 30 years. He holds honors in chemistry, advanced diploma in management, followed by masters in business administration. He did his post-graduation certification in competitive and advanced competitive strategy from Ludwig Maximilians Universität, Munich, Germany. He has a certificate in teaching character, creating positive classrooms from Relay Education School, New York. And he also done certification program in digital marketing from Google and HubSpot. If you see, all these are required not only for pharmaceutical industry, for all the young eye doctors who are starting their career, particularly during the COVID and immediate post-COVID. He owns his website, spiritualityandmanagement.com. And I remember talking to him about him and his father. And his articles were selected by Speaking Tree and published in Times of India. And that's the reason he's here today for the spirituality and medicine. And that's why Dr. Rohit Shetty also is here, because Dr. Rohit Shetty is also doing research on, apart from medical treatment, with all the latest equipment, and then something to do with self-healing and faith, which heals. And I think he has made a study, and I hope you'll show the video. He has been a visiting faculty to management institutes and has addressed many industry forums. He has been an active participant in many programs, including IIM Ahmedabad, Academic Industry Interface. And I also want to tell all the ophthalmic, the ophthalmologists in this now who are here. And the reason is I want to tell particularly Digvijay Singh, who will hope to, I don't have any financial interest with the center, neither I support anything. I'm telling it publicly because each individual ophthalmologist are well read and they will follow evidence-based medicine. And with this, because we always want to maintain ethics in practice. So with that, I have particularly requested, he actually didn't want to do, and I wanted to ask Mr. Ajay Kumar Handa to introduce the program, because I find he's a great entrepreneur and also a great human being. Plus, you can see the picture Center House in one of the screens by Hitendra Punya, where you can see the Center House building. It's a beautiful lab with a 50-bedded clinical research. It is open for anybody who wants to do clinical research. That's what he told me. And I was working on a molecule with a company called Suction Life Sciences. And I'm sure Rohit Shetty is also working on many molecules and also gene therapy. He has got a fantastic, which is I think a US certified and a European certified, which he will talk about it, but I think he will also introduce the program. And as I said, apart from doing any business on ophthalmology with the center, I think I've got associated because of the Mr. Ranganekar and the son, and now, and also Mr. Handa had come, I believe. I didn't remember him, but when I went to him and I remember. So in addition, they are all doing so many things to support the young ophthalmologists on my request. And today's program is purely to motivate all the young doctors who are starting career, including Aishwarya, who's doing a fellowship, that we have hope and we have millions of patients who we can treat. Some may be needing free, some may be needing charity, and some will be paying the private charges. And I think with that, I request Mr. Handa to start the program and give his introduction.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Natarajan. I'll share my screen here. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
First of all, we humbly pay homage to late Professor Dr. S. Sundaram on his 94th birth anniversary for life lived in service of humanity, leaving rich heritage evident in virtues inherited by Padma Shri Professor Dr. S. Natarajan, blended so well by his own endeavor beyond excellence and journey with him. This webinar on spirituality and healing is dedicated to him. And I have to thank Dr. Natarajan for the trust he's reposed in me to introduce the subject, and God help me to do justice. In fact, I have no words for Dr. Natarajan. I don't know how to describe him. His personality is beyond my grasp. I cannot fathom how does he fit in so much in a day. His interests are diverse, and he is an inspiration not only to the ophthalmologists, but to all of us. His every minute is a value addition to the world. I am also a great fan of Dr. Rohit Shetty's presentations and talks. I've heard him so many times. He's very articulate, a lot to learn from him. He's a great orator. Dr. Karabi Lahiri carries very vibrant aura around her. She is full of life and radiates positivity all the time. And my greetings to Yossi, to all young ophthalmologists, all members, to Dr. Digvijay Singh, Dr. Sonal Kalia, Dr. Divakant Mishra, and Dr. Karan Bhatia, Dr. Amish Upadhyay, and all staff of Dr. Aishwarya from Aditya Jyoti. My greetings to also to my colleagues at Center. This is spirituality and healing is an enormous subject, and I'm intrigued and expect to enlighten myself on deeper insights through today's webinar. In fact, my subject is spirituality and management, and as stated by Dr. Natarajan, I have my own website, spiritualityandmanagement.com. And we do pursue at Centaur, we pursue a lot of, we call it a Triveni. You know, it's a combination of ethics, standards, and quality. And we have the recent most was the introduction of a new chemical entity, as he mentioned, is Voxy, which is for diabetic foot ulcer, which has been introduced for the first time in India and the world. And all trials were done in India. So much for Centaur. Now, this was my last tweet, which I sent to Dr. Natarajan, and where I actually plotted them on a scale of material and spiritual y and x-axis, and rich and poor. So I found it fitted in that quadrant, which is material rich and spiritual rich. And I had also written to him, I said, Dr. Natarajan, sir, you are rich and blessed, and your both indexes, spiritual and service, both quotients are very high. In Sanskrit, old proverb, we know it says, Vedyo Narayano Hari, which says that God is the ultimate healer, and then comes the doctor. And actually, if you look into the names of the premium institutes in India and the world, Narayan Netrale, Aditya Jyot, Shankar Netrale, all of them have that tinge of spirituality in them. It's no coincidence that today most of the hospitals have got a prayer room when you enter, and this is how the world is split between spirituality and positivity, and despair and negativity. And there's always a conflict, and we know of the story. And the wolves within us; these are the wolves outside. There's always a fight between the two of them. And we know the granddaughter was asking the grandfather finally which wolf won the battle. So he says, which wolf wins? And the grandfather says, the wolf you feed wins. And that's life is a balance between opposing forces. And the point of balance for every individual is different. And the opposite forces can be spiritual and material. They can be fear and faith. They can be joy and despair. They can be health and sickness. They can be give and take. They can be gain and loss. Now, there are some people who are on the extreme end, they are extreme spiritual, extreme material, and the balance of us, we may fall in between. That is how it is. And if you look at, I find that every day we are confronted with anchaha, and when we are seeking manchaha, you know, it's something which we actually want. Subsequently, we end up with something which we don't like, and that's why I plotted this like and dislike against what we should do and we should not do. I'll just 1 minute. Sorry. What we should. Have I gone out of this?
Sir, you have stopped the screen share.
No, I didn't. It just went out. Okay. 1 minute. I'll come back. Sorry.
Please, sir.
Where is the screen share gone?
Sir, down it is. Next to the charts.
You can't see it now?
No, we cannot see it, sir.
Just 1 minute, sir. My apologies. Yeah. Can you now see?
Not yet, sir.
All
Yeah,
right.
now it is coming.
Now you can see it. Okay. So
So you can make it full screen.
all right. So this is actually fortunate of people who are falling into quadrant number 2 because they are doing what they are doing is what they like and also what they should. And at the end of the day, the karma sustains. And if you look into this is the quadrant number 3 is where you find that there's a challenge and this is the test because you are conflicting between what is inconvenient and what is right. And if we look into everybody is actually in pursuit of happiness, the very purpose spirituality is to see to it that you are peace and happy and you are centered and you are detached. So if you can, this is an age-old wisdom, which is that the mathematical formula of happiness is desires fulfilled divided by desires entertained. And unfailing law is that if you want to prioritize happiness, you have to prioritize spirituality. And happy patients, they would always heal faster. And the only method by which one can do this if you want to increase the score and the index here is that you have to increase the numerator and reduce denominator and which is that you have to knock out some desires so that denominator becomes smaller, or we can replace the desires entertained with the one which can be easily fulfilled. Let's say if the desires are gain and if you can convert them into give, so it is the charity can happen anytime. So and every individual personality is actually 4 personalities. We are social, spiritual, physical, mental, and all of them have got to be happy. And we all yearn to be happy, and each one can also be a personality where there can be a suffering. We can be social suffering, physical. Social can be because of equations, spiritual can be maybe moral sin and then you regret. And mental, of course, are gains and losses and be they in career or money. Physical can be health and injury. So each has pathology and each of them needs. Now, the purpose of life is to evolve. This was one of the tweets which I did on 27 December. When you work for the salary, you trade. And when you're working to learn and experience, you grow. When you work to achieve, you prosper. When you enjoy your work, benefit and build others, and that's when you bliss and blossom. So I've taken 2 examples here. I've taken a municipal worker, a lady who's sweeping the streets, and I've taken the one who's doing the home and the one who's doing the temples. And the other side, I've taken food, and it's the food in the restaurant is business, and the food at home is love, and the food at temple is prasadam. And if you look into the act is the same, but actually the underlying essence of all the same act is different. One end you find it's love and devotion, the another end it is salary and business. Now, what is the lesson here is that the lady who's sweeping the streets or the chef who's doing a restaurant, if you can blend it with love and you can do some devotion in it, and then you find that your act becomes blessed. So it is important that let your vocation be an affair between you and him. What happens is that we always end up thinking that I'm working for Centaur, so it's an affair between me and the company. And each one of us, we think it's between me and the hospital. Or so at the end of the day, you actually look at spirituality says that your affair is everything which you do is between you and him. And if that be the case, your act takes a different dimension and it's a different pedestal altogether. Then Bhagavad Gita, the seventh shloka in seventh chapter, say Mata Partaram Nanyat Kinchit Asti Dhananjaya Mai Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Maniganai. The Lord says, I am the essence of the universe. And like are the beads woven into the thread, so is the universe into me. There's nothing beyond me. Now, if that be the case, then how can my work be no interfere between me and him. Where source our spirituality from? You see, we inherited from our parents. We, the gurus and teachers, our academic professional and home upbringing, scriptures, the company of friends we keep, and there's some episodes which make you spiritual. They can be tragic, they can be traumatic, they can be even otherwise. And the outcome is it results into, once when you have sourced the spirituality, then subsequently results into healing, peace, detachment. It actually teaches us to live in a moment. You see, because if you're living in the past, you are cribbing or you're sulking, or if you're regretting, and if you're living in the future, you are anxious. So it tells us to live in the moment. It keeps us centered, and it actually instills a sense of duty and service, and takes us to prayer and meditation. In Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 3, there's a verse which says, Yat yat acharati shreshtaha tat tat devetaro janaha sa yat pramane kurute lokas tat anuvartate. As the professors or the seniors, as the shresht, lucky are the young ophthalmologists, because this country has wonderful, they have excellent professors, and they're not only science, they are also spirituality. And as they are conduct, they rub on you. That means the younger generation only does what the elder do in their acharan. And now what is spirituality? The beauty of spirituality is that it comes in very handy in all situations. Now you're performing a surgery. You don't control the outcome. You see, so what it does is it says that all actions are because of 5 factors, which is the place, doer, senses, efforts, and the 5th is the divine. Now this is important. So it says, Bhagavad Gita, it says, Adhishtanam tatakarta karnam cha pritak vidam, vividha cha pritak cheshta, devam cha evatr panchma. So that means if anybody, and then there is the following shloka which states, Tatra evam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuja, pashyati akrit buddhi tvan nasa pashyati durmati. That means one who thinks himself as the sole doer of an act is fooling himself, is kidding himself. Incidentally, last week, maybe 10 days back, Dr. Natarajan was very kind enough to have me also in the program where Dr. Devi Shetty spoke on it. And he also mentioned and said that sometimes you find that simple operations and the outcomes are not good. And you find sometimes very complex and difficult, impossible surgeries, and you find it's rewarding. So it is something which is beyond us. Now the power of purpose does what? Actually, if you see, the objective is that from unhappy man to happy man, and happy man to happy soul. Now there's a difference between the two. If you have a good family, you have luxurious life, your rich bank balance, your successful career, your friends, your fame, that you're a happy man. At the end of the day, if you have transformed into happy soul, where your unconditional love, fulfillment, peace with self, you're humble and kind. This transformation happens through positive thinking, positive emotion, positive attitude, positive behavior. Now this is, if I go next, so if it's positive thinking, so actually we are all thoughts would every thought is a molecule. This is an old thing, old statement of mine, which I think I was during my college days I used to mention and state, because at the end of the day you find millions of biochemical reactions are ongoing anytime in the body, and they are happening, and these secretions, biochemical secretions, or the hormones, they can either heal the tissue or they can also distress the cell. So we have to reprint our thoughts. Life is full of, every day we have innumerable emotions, and they keep switching, and we have the spirituality helps us to take our mind into a no stress zone, and that's what it does. If spirituality impacts thoughts and actions and emotions are measured as physiological response, such as pounding, heart rate, raised BP, sweating, release of hormones. I think a subject which I am only putting a limited perspective. We experience many emotions every day. Most are transient. Some are intensely negative, unremitting, and affect our biochemistry and behavior. Now, for example, I've only taken four common major hormones that determine human happiness. We take the case of dopamine, so accomplishment, acknowledgement, appreciation, releases it. When we go and buy a car, do shopping, I think I'm stretching my boundary, so you will have to pardon me. This is just one slide. So oxytocin, because this is subject you're the masters of the subject. Now, oxytocin released when we shake hands and hug family and friends and put arms on anybody else's shoulders. Serotonin actually is only once when we've been doing, and it's a very limited scope of which I've taken of these hormones. And serotonin is when we help others and do service, be it the service to nature or be it to the humans. And endorphins, of course, are released when we exercise, we laugh, and endorphins, they block the pain. So this is spirituality leading to, and this is the study which actually picked up is a study which is available. This is from Journal of Current Glaucoma Practice, and this was by Dr. Tanush Dada. AIMS, I think co-investigator was the Institute of was the university in Magdeburg in Germany, and here it is. They picked up 90 patients. There's a study which was done for I think a period of 6 weeks, and they picked up two groups, split them into the ones which were eye drops and the others were meditation. And what did they find was, because the impact of meditation, of course, would reduce stress, and the stress had reduced stress would reduce the cortisol, and the cortisol would reduce the pressure IOP, and thus this decrease in glaucoma severity. And this is where they found that this is the other graph is where this was pre and post meditate the pre and post results. These were the meditators, the graph which is in gray, and the non-meditators which were only on eye drops. And they found that IOP, stress hormone, and levels of oxidative stress. All these top three graphs you can see, there have been drastic reduction in all of them. They said that 75% of the patients they had 25% reduction in IOP vis-a-vis those which were only on eye drops. And these were known meditators. And here if you see, that means they were the known meditators, the brain-derived neurotropic factors, beta endorphins, and the quality of life. You see, so both the graphs will give us one increase and one decrease, and the stress factors that so this was a study which was published in 2000, I think 18, and I picked 2019. Spirituality, faith, and healthcare is another study where they say it provides a basis for hope and energy for healing. Healing grounded in spirituality, meditation, faith may not cause a cure, but it sometimes assists the medical surgical treatments applied in order to achieve a cure. And sometimes the healing power of spirituality and faith is the only available explanation for cure. And we know this as a placebo effect. And spiritual or compassionate care involves serving the whole person, the physical, emotional, social, spiritual. Such service is inherently a spiritual activity. Helping, fixing, and serving represent three different ways of seeing life. When you help, you actually see life as weak. When you fix, you see it as broken. And when you serve, you see life as whole. Fixing and helping may be the work of ego. Service is the work of the soul. And maybe that's why it is called as healthcare services. And then since I mentioned that you have got all the time, you're busy with your ophthalmologists and the doctors are busy with patients. You had the earlier patient who just left and the new patient come in. So maybe the complex case in the past and the difficult patient. So the Zen story says you have to learn to let it go. We know the story of two monks. The lady comes and seeks help to relieve her. and both monks, they're glancing at each other. The elder one picks her up and drops her the other side of the river. And the younger one then says that I thought we vowed not to touch a woman. So the older monk says, I set her down on the other side of the river long back. Why are you still carrying her? Spirituality helps you to do what is right, live in the moment, detached. And detachment is by itself a great healer. And what the story says is that we should let go of every patient in the clinic. I think you are absolutely fresh, new ophthalmologist, as if this is the first patient who's come in the morning. Now, finally, if you look at what has happened from the first chapter to the 18th chapter and how many interventions must have happened to change the state of mind. In the first chapter, he's sulking, Drishtva imam swajanam kishan jujutsum samupastitam, sidanti mam gatrani mukham cha parishushati. And that's the state. And finally, you find that 18th, he says, Nashta moha, all my delusions are gone. Smriti labda tvat prasadat me achut, sito asmi gat sandeha, karishe vachnam taf. He says, now I have complete clarity. And as a metaphor, consider Arjuna as a distressed cell in the body that suggests spiritual engagement with the patient to heal. And as I already stated, sometimes the healing power of spirituality and faith is the only explanation for cure. And finally, the iconic and the ultimate pursuit in spirituality, well, the verse which says Kalmane Vadikaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachit Ma Karmaletu Sangvastu Karmani. Your right is to duty, no fruits thereof, but do not embrace inaction, no reward. I think this keeps us happy, and I find great solace in this verse, and I practice it. And thank you so much. I thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you so much. I'm taking away my slides.
Thank you, Mr. Handa sir. I think, yeah, I hope the all young ophthalmologists will like it. And I think we will, during the panel discussion, I think they will ask you questions. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Rohit Chetty. I know everybody in this audience and in the public, they know, but I'm just, I would like to, I prepared something. I thought, I know everybody would have read. So he's a consultant, cornea and refractive surgery, vice chairman, Narayan Netralaya, Bangalore, clinical and translational scientist, Grow Laboratories, faculty, Department of Ophthalmology, Maastricht University. He's a pride of India, and all this is available in the, he's got 200 publications. He's the, and also have a mentor for the dual academic program, PhD and clinical fellowship at Narayan Netralaya, and that's his contribution. And he has got a PhD on work on keratoconus. And I think all the ophthalmologists know this. And he's got Colonel Rangachari Award in the All India Ophthalmic Society, which is very prestigious. And then later, he's got the Kesper Award for outstanding contribution to refractive surgery by the International Society for Refractive Surgery. And I'm happy I was there in that same hall. And so happened I met Amar Agrawal and him outside the hall. I hope Rohit remembers that. So this is what I found Rohit Chetty and spirituality, his interview in Eurotimes. It is known that placebos offer cure rates almost up to 30% as faith works in miraculous ways to cure the patient. Most of the scientific evidence claims that placebos mainly help in subjective symptoms while hardly any change is seen objectively. However, there is a growing body of evidence that claims an improvement in the objective measurements in chronic illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, or autoimmunity. The patient-doctor relationship, which is believed to be the key in the management of the patient, plays hero by reversing the above effects. And that's the reason this program, in my father's name, it infuses positive thought, expectation, and commitment from the patient. It gives the patient a sense of companionship, a feeling that they are not alone in this journey towards recovery. This positive energy that cannot be quantified works by reducing anxiety and restoring normal physiology in relation to neuropeptides and indirectly blood pressure control and immune mechanisms. The release of endorphins that ameliorate Mr. Handers have mentioned that the symptoms and offer immense subjective improvement are an additional added benefit. It is thus imperative for us as caregivers to treat the patient with a holistic approach. And that's the reason I want the young doctors to realize this. It is our responsibility to influence positive thought and optimism in the patient. In the 20th century, technology has been our greatest ally. Today, an old lady came crying, saying that she's old and she's got myopathic macular degeneration. And she mentioned she came with a cab driver and a small young girl, 21-year-old girl, looking after her. And she said, I'm alone. And she was crying. And I said, what is the problem? She said, am I going blind? I said, let me examine you. I said, why is this problem for you? She said, already the doctor told nothing can be done. I have myopic macular degeneration. Today, I have given her placebo therapy. She was already taking 3 types of antioxidants and a neurobion and so many drops for a dry eye. And I think she doesn't need anything. So I told her, stop everything. I'm giving you a prescription. I changed it to Ocuplus tablet. It is nothing to support center, but I did that. And I told this patient, you use this and come back to me 1 month later. I will decide what to do. Somebody told me I need an injection. I said, you don't need anything. You have faith and then come back. And we may all, that's I think that's what I'm doing. And I know that she doesn't need any treatment. There's a possibility she'll use low vision aid and she can read. And she can read probably Bhagavad Gita and she'll be happy. But she told me she's a Jain and probably she'll read Naukar Mantra and be happy. I think looks like the children have deserted her. I didn't go into the detail, but she was weeping. But when she went, I'm happy. I asked her, are you ready to dance? And she said, yes. Why not? I said, today I'm busy. We'll do next visit when you come. So we may all well be entering a new era in the 21st century where the power of faith could be one of the most important allies in making the world a happier place for our people. And I think with this, I wanted to say Dr. Rohit Shetty presented this concept in American Academy of Ophthalmology or American Society for Cataract and Refractive Surgery. I was very proud of that. I am very proud. I saw that and I reposted it in the Facebook and YouTube. And over to you, Rohit Shetty, and thanks a lot. And thanks for accepting just by a WhatsApp. And I didn't even call you or talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, Rohit.
Thank you, sir. And thanks again for this invite. It's wonderful to see your energy. And I keep following all the places you go. You have a virtual darshan of all the famous temples across the country and beyond. I think you're doing a lot of spiritual service to all of us. Dr. Handa sir, pleasure seeing you again and your wonderful talk. And Shivanandan.
Rohit, sorry for interrupting. No, I wanted you to visit now since you can travel. I think you should have a time to have a collaboration with the Grow Laboratory, Centaur Lab, and Aditya Jyot, because his lab is fantastic. They are doing, I think, excellent work, and I think they have equipment. I think we should use it.
Sure, sir. Anytime. And all the YOSI members, very proud of what you guys are doing. My talk today is spirituality and healing in ophthalmology. I dedicate this talk to Professor Natarajan's father. I had the honor of meeting him many times during his conference in Sundaram, and also dedicate this talk to Archie. What you really showed in this brief time you used to post about her is how a young person, young means it's not the age. If you're younger by 1 year to your elders, you still become younger. How you should take care of your family and how you should love your parents or grandparents or anybody. I think the lesson you showed with Achi and your parents are really a lesson all the youngsters should follow. And I think that has got more value than what I'm going to speak today. I thank you for all that values and keep doing it as much as you want, as long as you want. And we are all as silent observers to it. I will start my talk. I have a 15 to 20 minutes talk on spirituality and healing in ophthalmology. Fortunately, I have no financial interest in this subject. So that is a good thing. So I don't need to show any financial disclosure. When you get a topic like this, which you did mention in the AO and many places, I've had a brief, I had the honor to present our work, is people talk whether this is connected in any way. So taking a lead from what Ramana Maharshi said, if your mind is active, every solitude becomes a marketplace. You know, it's a demons there. And there's no use closing your eyes. Your mental eye is what you need to close. Just a few days back, this was the birth centenary of celebration of Vivekananda. There are two people whom I'd like to connect in this talk. They're classically very well connected. One is a spiritual master, the other one is a scientific master. Nikolai Tesla, and you hear a lot of Tesla because of Elon Musk virtually believes that he was the greatest scientist alive. There's a debate on it, whether he was better or Thomas Alva Edison was better. They always had a very long and very bitter fight till the end. So how did they meet? There's this story of meeting is very important because how they met actually brings in the flow to my talk. When Swami Vivekananda went to Chicago for the World Parliament Religions, and he was invited, or I don't know whether it was the same time or the different time, he was invited to a play in French about Eisel. The play was by Sarah Benedict. The play was about, I mean, it was more like a teaching of Buddha, but in a different format. Eisel is a damsel who comes and tries to seduce Gautam Buddha, and he, being enlightened, he doesn't get seduced, and he gives her a sermon about life, and that is the whole thing about Eisel. And Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda was there, and so was Nikolai Tesla, and both of them did not know each other well then. After the play, one of the directors of the play recognized Swami Vivekananda and called him to her room and was discussing. When they were discussing in that room, Nikolai Tesla also happened to know the director, and he just walks in and sits. So he was just listening to what was happening. Imagine a pure man of science who brought the AC current and all the concept of current and electricity, sitting and listening to this, the Eastern concept of religion and spirituality. It must have been a very complex talks. But Nikolai Tesla was a man who was wired differently. And even though traditionally you would throw this out and say this is rubbish, and he would not even bother about a saint, and he would just go on with his work. But this is a very important point of all great innovators. This is what our youngsters should know. Even though you're not interested in something, it's not your part of life, you still put in a lot of questions, and that questions was given to Vivekananda, and they answered, and the rest is history. And after that, Nikolai Tesla dedicated a lot of innovation to spirituality and a lot of Vedas, and you know about it. That's a different chapter. Why is it important? There is always this academic ego which comes to our mind. Whether you're a scientist, doctor, that ego is so big. You know, I have decoded the universe, I've decoded science, I decoded this current and what this guy is talking about, some electricity, spiritual electricity and all that rubbish. Because our thoughts actually create that vibrations around us. Now, why did I bring this concept? Is because of a very famous Japanese word called Soshin. Soshin is a foundation of a lot of our spirituality, whether it's the Buddhism, whether it's Shinto religion, or it comes to Hinduism or any other religion. What is Soshin, and what is Soshin to do with Nikolai Tesla? It's a beginner's mind. When a child, an unknown child, a child who does not belong to you, or nephew or small kid is put on your lap, what does it do? It is not trying to judge you, but not trying to look at how good is your perfume or how bad you're smelling, or it's just trying to look at you and trying to understand you without, as though you're seeing you for the first time. This is what it means by a beginner's mind. That means the great scientists, if somebody is talking about something, they will not try to judge you. That is the first foundation of spirituality. So what is really the beginner's mind? What is Soshin? They don't really look at preconceived work about how things work. At that point of time, Nikolai Tesla was not looking at his Vivekananda's dress or his talk or his scientific knowledge, which is bringing spirituality. He was looking at it something new, like a baby sitting and looking at somebody talking, whether he understands or not different. Once you feel that there is something exciting, then you go more deeper and then curiosity, and that opens the new possibilities. How do they achieve it? Is ocean a form of meditation? It's not a form of meditation. It is not a form of, it's not a form of ritual. It's not form of yoga. It's a form where you have to direct your present mind to the present moment. That is something which is very difficult to a lot of us. And this is what we call it as, what we call as the mindfulness. This is very important today in today's context, because last year we were full with multiple things. The mind was not, it was filled with things which is scary, uh, pain, despair, and unwanted stuff. A child mind is actually filled with the present moment. What is present moment? It's about awareness, about everything which is happening around you. The present moment is, if Professor Natarajan is drinking the juice or coffee, whatever, he is in that present moment about how that tastes from the time it goes from his lip to the throat. And that is the moment which many of us and all of us don't forget, because only some part of a brain gets excited when you're trying to do some work. And most of the time, a lot of unwanted jargon keeps happening. So this is very important. You are not your thoughts. That's the foundation of spirituality in ophthalmologies. You are mean to me. I'm scared. I'm so hurt. Everything is about your thoughts. And in your thoughts, there are two things. A subconscious mind, whatever I'm saying is, it's science. So it's all there in neurosciences, neurobiology science. 97% of the time is subconscious. That means Professor Natarajan or me drinking this coffee is at a subconscious level. We assume that we are tasting it, but it's a subconscious mind we're tasting, not in the subconscious mind. So when you talk about somebody who's spiritually evolved, that person is always in the conscious state of mind. That is what is mean by this meditation. So for all ophthalmologists, this is something which is very important about mindfulness meditation. And this is not something where you take off for half an hour and do it. Just when you're sitting, just be aware of your posture you sit. There are a lot of people sitting and listening to me. For a second, for the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes, have you thought about how you're sitting? If you're not, then you're not in the mindful state of being. Just for a second you sit. You may be sitting in a very vague posture. We don't look at our breath at all. People say when you're stressed, just count your breath. That's because you're bringing yourself to the present moment. And whole thing is about repeating this. I have this whole video. I'll share it in the group, or I'll share it with Dr. Natarajan, which talks about all this, which the Professor Natarajan spoke about in that AO. So meditation is not what you think. It's not that you have to do some meditation or spirituality. It is about your day-to-day work. Like I said, if you're drinking a coffee, the feel you have when you drink a coffee from the first it hits your, from the time your lip when it goes down, is very important. There are a lot of books around this. So how do we practice this in our clinic? This is your typical scenario. What is your scenario? You have a topography, or in my case, I'm a refractive surgeon. I have a topography. Natarajan sir may have a scan in front of you. And we do an examination. When we examine, the patient is thinking about something. I'm thinking about something. And ultimately, we miss, because most of this thing is in the subconscious mind. After practicing 10 years, you exactly know what you have to do with the patient once you see this scan out here. You can totally disconnect. This is Dr. Professor Ms. Handa said, and everybody keeps talking about it. But how do you bring this conscious and subconscious mind? The simplest thing, which is again he mentioned, is it's very difficult when you have a bad patient, tough patients who create problems to you. You carry on that baggage to the next patient. So what most important thing is observe your breath, your breathing in and out. When you are stressed, it need not be in your outpatient. When you're having a problem with in your house or with your parents or your husband or wife or whatever, that breathing in and out is in every known spiritual masters have given this. But what is so important? What is scientific about this? This is what I was very keen on. What is so scientific about breathing that every master keeps it? What is very scientific is, take for example, this again I mentioned about different things around in your room, about your, and even in your OT. What is really important about breathing is when you breathe, all of us breathing now, if we are alive, when you are breathing, we are all doing it in your subconscious state of mind. And subconscious state of mind is, remember that slit lamp thing, I'm in the subconscious state of mind because I know what to do with this patient. I'm not bothered about things which I feel is immaterial to me, which is wrong. When you observe your breath, suddenly you go into the conscious state of mind. So why is it important? Subconscious state of mind is like your hard drive of all the wanted and unwanted things loaded inside. If something has happened bad, your mind is always in the subconscious mind of a previous complication. That's what I said. When you operate after a complication, you are in a subconscious state of mind. You will always be thinking about making an incision which is wrong or making something which is wrong because you are doing from a subconscious, and it will end up being wrong. When you breathe in, when you observe your breath, suddenly you become conscious. Conscious state of mind is state of awareness. What does it tell you? Suddenly it tells you that you can do it. You don't need to go back to the past experience. Just look at the present one and start working around it. And that is what scientifically it has been said is the most powerful thing, is to come to the present. When people say present, it's a conscious state of mind. And I tell this to all my fellows, everybody, if you are in the OT and if you have a bad, then just for a second, breathe in, breathe out, feel the air in the OT, feel everything, feel your feet on the ground. It may look silly. When you feel your feet on ground, feel the air in OT, and feel everything around you. What does it mean? That you're coming to the state of consciousness. When you're not feeling anything, when your feet is not, you're not feeling it on the ground, and you don't breathe, when you're not consciously breathing, where are you? In your subconscious mind. Then I will think about 100 things, which is totally ridiculously unimportant at that point of time. So breathing is the greatest spiritual knowledge for an ophthalmologist. Conscious breathing, and that is what I feel everybody should follow, irrespective of where you're doing. And you don't need any great place, you don't need a divine master to teach you just these things. When something goes wrong, remember this you're not praying. Of course you can pray, but praying again goes to subconscious mind. You pray the God you want, you have seen something, well, this God brings me luck, this God doesn't bring me luck. That is again subconscious mind. In the conscious mind, you are only looking at these things, and you're not looking at anything, which God gave me what, at what time, and whom I should go and do my manat and all that. So that is very important, and that is the power of this. And again, I'm coming to this, in the days when you are not okay, when you're not fully stable, and your mind is terribly clouded with so many emotions, just practice this in one day. Mindful drinking. Dr. Natarajan showed, he was drinking something. Remember picking the glass up, holding it in your hand, and then smelling this, and then slowly drinking this with the smell in, the aroma in. We don't do this. We just pick, that's it. Something goes here, some taste buds are kicked off. That's over. That's not mindful. Mindful is about everything. That feel of aroma, the feel of it. Whether you like this, whatever I'm drinking or not is different. And think breathing is very important. Doing one at a time, multiple tasking that day creates a problem. And notice your senses. This is the most powerful thing. Notice your senses means when you're sitting now, all of you, when you're sitting, just feel how your feet is on the ground. What does it feel? Does it feel cushion effect? Do you feel there's some irritation. I mean, you don't know, because a lot of things just gets, the brain just pushes it down. Mindful eating is very important. Deep listening. Many times, you listen what you want, but this is what a mindfulness. This is my greatest mantra of spirituality, according to me. And mindful walking. Whether you're walking, when you're walking, just try this. When you're doing, just one day you try this, you'll realize how powerful this is. And bringing attention to your body, like all this anyway is going to bring attention to your body. And this is what we've been practicing before the COVID times in our hospital, teaching our doctors, because that's what they want. And science of mindfulness, I'm just going to go very brief. There are two networks in our brain. And this has all been worked on neurobiology, central network and default mode network. Central executive network, when you think positive, if people are taking it in a positive one, all the people listening to me, if they believe that this works, then if I do a fMRI, this is how it would look. The positive thoughts have a different flow altogether. And if some people think that this is something which is terribly boring and this is never going to be used in my life, that's a negative thought. And more of default mode networks start firing. What happens is this changes your consciousness totally. Your personality completely changes, because these are all brain circuits. These are not just mumbo jumbo stuff which is done by like a spiritual one where you can't find an explanation. This is all done to figure out, when you give a good thought process, what you get. When you get a poor thought process, what you get. And if you keep feeding these two things, and if the CEN is lesser compared to the default mode, you end up being a very pessimistic personality, a cribber, a person who disturbs others, trips all the time. And this is something which is very important.
To mindfulness training is to trigger positive thoughts.
And this is from a video. This talks about how the mindfulness is. And okay. And this is what happens to your meditation. When you do this mindfulness meditation, you increase the CEN activity. That means you build up the CEN. When you have a CEN activity, all that hormones which Handa showed works exactly the way he want. This activity increases when you play, when you have with your dogs, when you enjoy somebody, when you don't talk gossip, which is not needed. It increases it. That is the power of CEN. For an ophthalmologist, how does it really help? What it does is you build a better relationship with your patients. Your surgical outcome betters. It helped me. Better time management, control anger. Anger is difficult to control. We are not living in a jungle in a hermit, but still it is important. Anger is part and parcel of life. Your personal and interpersonal relationship gets better, whether it's your colleague or your wife or husband or anybody else. Your career gets better and your decision taking becomes perfect. And this is what an ophthalmologist will get by this. And this is a simple knowledge of, because too many things, spiritual things, for a clinical practicing people become very difficult. So I'm just giving you something which is very simple. How does it really help? The brain has its own wired system. And when things don't go well, if you ask a retina surgeon or a cataract surgeon, they said, you get neuroadapted, don't worry about it. What is neuroadaptation? What is neuroplasticity? It's about how the brain teaches. So what really happens here is, this is your thoughts. This is how your thoughts are wired. Every time you get a new thought, if somebody takes your brain now and starts looking at this, each of your brain will have these thoughts connecting, making new neurons. These are very important because they try to help you in building something as neuroplasticity.
Finally,
what happens is, why is neuroadaptation very important? Because you're trying to make a conscious efforts there. So when your patient comes to you with glare or when he has halos and you tell them, you will neuroadapt. You will never get neuroadapted if your personality is filled with the default neural network. Because what happens is, those patients, the brain just does not get adapted to suppress it. So what do? When you want a person to get neuroadapted, the most important thing you need to do is, especially if a patient comes to a multifocal glare or anything, tell them to change the routine practice. If you're eating with your right hand, ask him to eat breakfast for a month with his left hand. What happens when you eat it with your left hand? Very interesting thing happens. The patients actually start getting a new circuit. When the patient gets new circuit, he starts trying to build new neurons. When you have a new neurons, the brain suppresses his unwanted glare in his mind and it has a new pathway. This is very important because if you are not able to do this, including getting a new hobbies, you will never get neuroadapted. So, as clinicians, as ophthalmologists, we have to understand our concept of neurology is directly connected a lot to spirituality. I'm just not talking about any religion here, and directly connected to a lot of adaptation of how you build, how both of them are kind of intermingle with each other. So what you do is next time when somebody comes with all this problem, instead of just telling him that you will go back to you go back, you'll get neuroadapted at 6 months, it will never happen. Just think about this. Eat it with your right hand, play with your left hand, right hand. You do your regular activities, change the furniture. If you're sitting on the right side of the furniture every day, sit on the left side. Your brain start adapting. Remember that circuit. You have a new circuit forming. When you have a new circuit forming, you will adapt faster. That builds your neuroplasticity. It is very important, especially for retina surgeons. Kairobi ma'am and Natarajan are here. You do a macular surgery and expect them to neuroadapt by his own, it's never going to happen. Just remember, if you're putting a tie with the other side, you'll struggle. You will struggle. When you eat, everything falls on you. But the brain is trying to put more efforts on that and forgets how he's seeing or what glare he's seeing. And that is the power of neuroplasticity. Many times we don't understand, and many times it's forgotten. And that is what is neuroadaptation. And one of the other part of the spirituality is about how you lead your life. And Ikigai is one of the beautiful ways of leading life. It's all about, different things about how your life should be. And it's very, very practical during the COVID times. Stay active, don't retire. Very important. I think classic example is Professor Natarajan. I think we're going to see him for the next 30, 40 years doing the same thing what he's doing and showing us all the beautiful places virtually and physically. Take it slow, hurry. Don't fall in, this is all about eating. This is a little difficult. And surround yourself with good friends. And that is, I think, the most important thing COVID has taught you. People who are positive. Bring your CEN, Central Executive Network. I'm not talking about spiritual words. I'm talking being a doctor and scientist. I'm speaking about language of what a brain understands. Central Executive Network improves only when you have a happy dog and more happier you, or a happy friends who can bring you more positivity. Get in shape. Very important. Everything goes off when you have a good shape. Smile. And shape is not to portray yourself in the Facebook or Instagram or in your meetings. It's get in shape is to see, when you see yourself on the mirror, you should be, that positiveness should be with you. That's spirituality. Whatever I'm saying is not a sermon of a philosophical language. This is all derived from philosophy of different. Ikigai is not just the Japanese one. It's just written in their language. Reconnect with nature. There is something called as forest bathing. You go to nature. I did write an article in Week magazine on it and the power of forest bathing. And always be grateful. I'm grateful to I'm sitting here on this day, grateful to that. That gratefulness itself brings in a lot of positivity on all the if I just think, I don't know how many people are sitting and listening, what am I doing on this day? That is my DEN network there. So it keeps happening and I become completely, I go into that zone and live in the moment. This is mindfulness. Stop regretting the past. COVID is over. All of us are getting vaccinated. What happens to vaccine, whether we survive, become chimpanzees in 10 years, I think only God will. So we really don't need to worry about it. And that's your Ikigai. And there is passion in everybody. I don't see that, even an ant, I think, has a passion. I mean, every ant takes the And if you look at how they take the small bits of sugar, they have their own USP of how they take it, and never follows anybody. So it is very important in this short term, what I said, it is very important to merge science and spirituality. That's why I go back to what I said with Nikolai Tesla and Vivekananda's story. Keep your mind open. One of the biggest problems today, which I would like to say to the lot of youngsters and whoever is listening today, is there are a lot of guardians of what you people are become guardians. Okay, this is what you need to know, and everything else is out of syllabus. The question is, who gives you the right to say what is syllabus and non-syllabus? People who are in the syllabus are the ones who become just an employees of Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. People who don't want to look at the syllabus becomes the bosses. So you have to take it very clear whether you want to be a boss or you want to work for somebody who has that out of syllabus concepts. If you feel that you want to be a boss, then you have to be out of it. There are a lot of guardians here, and even in our own conferences. Oh, this is something which is not for our conference. This is not for our postgraduates. This is not for our fellows. The question is, who gives you the right to decide what is for a postgraduate and what is not? Just because you are on the podium, you give it. That is going to be that you are killing the entire mindset of people. You would probably never, the world would never had a Teslas or Thomas Alva Edisons or millions of great scientists if they have listened to these guardians who said, this is what you have to think. First thing is you have to stop thinking. You have to stop following. You have to be your own. There's a very nice article on faith and healing. This is a very small part of my talk about placebo. I'm sure a lot of us would have got in the trial a placebo injection of whatever, Covaxin or Covaxin. I'm sure that will work equally well as the vaccine. You know why? In this article of NEJM, it says about what is placebo. Is it powerful? I'll come back to it later. We go to spiritual gurus. Why do they create that aura? Because they have that aura. And what is aura? The way they dress, the way they talk, the smoke's coming all over them, their head, the hand, everywhere. Why do they bring that aura? Is because they connect you. What happens when this guy, with all due respect to him, if he was wearing a dress like me and Professor Natarajan, who would look at him seriously? No. So what would we do? What kind of mind status are we in? We are in the subconscious state of mind. Me and Natarajan are wearing a dress, which is a subconscious, which is nothing different. When you look at him, what do you see? You suddenly become conscious. You suddenly start looking at what are those colors. On the right side, there is a different design. The left side, there's a different design. This guy is, it may be funny, but every spiritual guru, every spiritual person brings in a very important concept of bringing consciousness as soon as you enter into that place. And that is called aura. If a guru or a spiritual master can't do it, you cannot be a master who can hold you in, because you are not able to capture it. So that is why they dress differently, or they look differently, the big beard, big thing and all that. Because you are bringing the consciousness. Remember next time, if you want to bring somebody closer to you, your atmosphere in that room should make it conscious. If your room is ordinary and you are ordinary in the way you talk, dress, speak, language, etiquette, everything, then you cannot bring that aura. So that is why these people have created the aura of faith of healing. And that is why they are so powerful. When they put their hand on you, you heal. You can also do it if you bring that concepts into it. And why did I say, I forget about this is from an NEJM article. Now I'm 100% sure the placebo will exactly work as the same as the COVID injection. Why? When somebody was giving, somebody had pain. After months of giving opioids, they did a study when they started giving them a placebo. The pain would exactly show the same response to placebo after 1 month like it used to show for opioids. Because the patient was given a bottle with morphine written on it or whatever opioids written on it, and the brain has got adapted to it as the way of pain. So this is the power of the brain, and I'm sure the COVID also would work the same. I'm not going too deep into this. but there's something my wife, who's into, I learned a lot from her from all these aspects, had shared. It's about the different chakras of our physical and metaphysical state, which I'll not go too deep into. So I sum up my talk in the last few slides. The most powerful spiritual guidance in for an ophthalmologist is try to build your silence. The silent you are, the more powerful you are in the inside world. The person who speaks for everything, whether you want it or not want it, is the one who's going to be the most dangerous one. And I learned this from my chairman. I never seen him angry in the last 20 years, and I don't see his children have seen him angry. So that means you can be the best being never angry. And Dr. Natarajan spoke about Devi Shetty in the last. I've never seen him being angry. He may get angry, I don't know, but he never shows anger. So the most important thing is you may be angry, but if you want to be the best fighter in the game, never show your anger anywhere. That's the greatest spirit. Silence and anger are the two important things for this. My father-in-law is the chairman, and my wife are two of my teachers from whom I learned a lot, and they are still evolving. This is taken from a retreat in Greece when they were part of Eckhart Tolle. If somebody has not read his book, I recommend everybody to read his book. The book is on the power of now, the most powerful book ever written, and one of the great spiritual masters. Whatever I just discussed, I plan to bring it up as a book sometime, and the book is going to be Science and Spirituality, and for doctors. And basically, and this is my wife's writing about every day about what should be written, and I bring the science part of it, and this is something which is very important in our life. I thank everybody. I thank my colleagues, and thank Dr. Pooja, who helped to make this presentation, because I just gave my flow, but making this presentation is a challenge. And we also made the same presentation was a video, which many places it didn't get accepted or got rejected, but I still find those videos are going to be very useful in years to come, especially in these troubled times. To sum up, it's the spirituality is not about praying. Spirituality is not about holding your hand and asking for blessings or forgiveness. Spirituality is about a way of life, how you conduct yourself in your practice and at home, and with a mindful mind. And that is what I would like everybody, especially the youngsters, if anybody is listening, to do it. Because if you do it, your brain has a lot of potential for neuroplasticity. If you start doing it, your brain adapts. Any habit you do for 21 days becomes neuroplastic automatically. So it is important that 21-day practice is very important in spiritual world, because it's how the brain becomes adapted. I thank Professor Natarajan, and I thank you for giving me this on this day of your father's birth anniversary. And thank you the Centaur for your support. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Rohit. And you mentioned about Eckhart Tolle, and because Shivanandan mentioned to me, and
so you're muted, I think.
Oh, I'm okay. Now can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, thanks for your lovely concepts and talks, and you demonstrate by actually giving like always a talk like this. And Shivanandan always recommended to read about Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, because every time it's now. Whatever yesterday and tomorrow you mentioned, I think he read more. I think a well-read man we have here, and plus also you mentioned about Tesla. Tesla attended a program which is so happened. I posted when I went to Vivekananda Rock Memorial. My friend Osmar Camilla from Peru said that Swami Vivekananda has met Nikolai. He asked me who's Vivekananda. I said he Google. So he Googled and said, oh, he's met Nikola Tesla. And then I told him, how do you know him? And then he sent me the link. And the link says there was a program in Buddha in French. And that's what Swami Vivekananda said. And the person who was playing, she arranged a meeting, said, oh, the spiritual guru has come, so I want to meet Swami Vivekananda. In the same room, Nikola Tesla was called. And that's how they met. Otherwise, they wouldn't have met. But it was divinity, whatever. But I'm glad he mentioned that. And it so happened, I went to a school run by Chalini for a school first standard to seventh standard, and they had a Nikola Tesla picture there, but she didn't know the connection between Nikola Tesla and Swami Vivekananda. So I'm hearing it today again, and none of the Bengalis know. So I'm happy I have put that in the Facebook. So glad you said. And I know Shivanandan said he won't talk, but I saw him coming on the video screen. Sir, you'd like to make some comments, sir? Shiva? And he logged out. I saw him in the. He's logged out, I think. Okay.
He logged out, I think.
Oh, yeah, he was there in the screen when maybe by the time I said, okay, maybe. Thank you, sir. I know whether any of you will not be seeing. Okay. So, Kerobi and Mitali, Aishwarya, and Digvijay, I think I am. Should I cut short my talk, or should you want to discuss and then show my presentation?
You carry on with it.
Carry on, sir. Carry on.
Carry on.
Yes, sir.
So I'll just share the screen. So I have Dr. Rohit Shetty mentioned about Archie. So I thought I'll just quickly run through Archie's slides, which I prepared for her 103rd birthday. And this was 1940 photograph when she was young. You can see her modern, the sleeves. And then this is what is the best photograph I have in 1963. She's carrying me, and that's an old car. I don't know the KL registration, which was in my father's friend's car. That's what I've written. So that was in 1963, just 6 years old. You can see me carrying. She's upright, erect, and as Rohit mentioned, she is always like that. This is my grandfather and grandmother is taken in the museum. And again, you can see right from my younger days, I followed my father wearing tie, suit, same thing I'm carrying continuously. That's my mother. And that's my grandmother. You can see her, all of them standing erect. And I think even when I'm being held by my mother, I'm also my brother that is there. And this is again, both of us wearing tie with my mother's parents. And that's and this is the best picture I have. Unfortunately, anyway, I'm now taking care of this picture. That's my old house, which is 100 years old quarters in the government eye hospital where I grew up. And I'm glad. And this is my sister. And this is my sister and my mother. And that's my grandfather's 81st birthday in Kutralam with my grandmother. My son, Aditya, pulling something in the hair. And that's my grandfather. And you can see my son, my mother, my grandmother, and Archie. And you can see this is the 80th birthday. You can see me, Aditya bowing down. And that's my Aditya I'm carrying. Now Aditya sitting with my grandparent. This is the same where I started my career. You can see a tree, and below the tree, you can see on the nurse there. And I had a clinic, which is in 168D Vikaswadi. It's the backyard. You can see my that is a great grandson, Aditya, holding my grandfather. And Archie climbing the Mahalakshmi temple. You can see this was before her cataract surgery and following cataract. I think about 2004, I think. She's got 6, 6, and 5. And this is we honored her in the early in 2015. And you can see with Dr. Badrinath, Mohan Rajan, Dr. Mrs. Badrinath, my grandmother, and her second daughter, that's my Chiti, and her daughter, Madhivanan was there. And this is again Premraj, and everybody will know him, and Jayanti, my classmate. In her thing in Nala Sopara, 100 kilometers from Dadar, I took her. I used to take her everywhere, and a lot of people used to tell, that's my son and my daughter with Archie. And this is, you can see my girlfriend, and she's putting a hand over me. And this is Shivanandan. She's blessing Shivanandan. She's with me. You can see she's got a beetle in her mouth. And that's with the students, and that's their house in Tenkasi. And that's again in 2016, and this is in 2015, 75th birthday with my fellows from all the fellows from all over the world, including Dr. From Georgia, Tbilisi. And then this is in her house. You can see my parents' picture. She's giving me Ashirwad in her own house, and you can see the sister sitting. That's my father's brother's wife, and I took her in 2008 to see. And this you can see Kero Bilagiri, Ravichandran, Dr. Radhika, Nikhil Thakkar, and my grandmother. And you can see Gudi Padua we're celebrating. I bring toys to her, and that's my father and my grandmother. We planted a tree in her, my grandfather's memory, but we made her put her photograph, and we made this tree called Laburnum tree in Tamil Kondrai Maram. Which is comes in the Vishu during the Malayali New Year and Tamil New Year in April. And you can see I take her to the gym with Shivanandan. And then this is my best friend Geeta Gopalakrishnan being a traditional game called Pallanguli. And this is why I'm showing this is Dr. Rohit mentioned how I get endorphins and I think how I get blessings. And this is doing a ballroom dance with me in the hospital. And so thanks for your patience. And also I wanted to say that this is a LDP talk I gave, 200 years of ophthalmology. I'm bringing it here because it is relevant today, and that's the first eye hospital in Asia, and which is gazetted in the Madras Eye Infirmary. And this is a hospital which is living 100 years. You can see the alumni: Dr. Badrinath, Dr. Danda, Dr. Venkateswamy, then Dr. A.V. Madanagopal, Dr. Ishwar Chandra, all illustrious who are no more from Maharashtra, and then my father and myself and my grandfather. So he's again, and that's Colonel Elliott, and then you can see this is a 150th anniversary building where the Jayalalitha came and she performed a dance, and then this is how the eye bank was, first eye bank in the country was started, and then this is Colonel Elliott who started the Elliott School, in whose name the Elliott School of Ophthalmology in 1919 was started, which is the oldest museum in the world, and India should be proud. And I want every ophthalmologist and Young Ophthalmic Society of India to go there, visit there, and whether they have a visitor book or not, kindly donate a visitor book, write it there, put it in the Facebook, put it in the LinkedIn, Twitter, because I think this deserves more. And I think we have taught the whole world, and the world is, I think, going round, and we can have records from early 19th and 20th century. And I think we are poor, and the porcelain eye models, pathology specimens, there were no photographs. And now for oculoplastic surgeon takes the mobile and takes a photo, they are doing drawing that time, and they had a post-op models, antique ophthalmic instruments, specimens, everything is there. And I think this is there in the Madras, which is in the Marshall's Road. Now it's called Lakshmipati Road. Now the Madras has become Chennai. And this is we have to be proud. The American Academy of Ophthalmology this is the first superintendent's chair from 1819. And this is the various superintendents. I'm glad my dad was a superintendent. I imagined to become a head of this institute because, and then I told every science center in India should carry about ophthalmology. And this is Dr. Guliani, who is a professor in Maulana Azam Medical. His classmate is Dr. Mahesh Sharma, whom I told every center should, they promised, but nothing is happening. And I'm glad 1930 All India Ophthalmic Society was started, 1953 IJO was started. And why I'm saying all this is we are working for the various things in All India. And now I think this is the original talk I'm going to run through because I want panel discussion, because that's what I'm here. And I'm starting with again Achi, which I made a photograph. And this is thanks to her and thanks to the blessing. As I mentioned, he was born on January 19, 1927. I visited the Skolasekharapatnam, which is about 30 kilometers from Thoothukudi, which is the south port. We hail from the same family as Vayu Chidambaram, who bought the first ship. He was a retired superintendent of Government Ophthalmic Hospital and professor of ophthalmology at Madras Medical College. He was a philanthropist, he was a sportsman, coach, a scientist and teacher, therapist. I'm glad these roles were played by my father, and I just told Aishwarya to prepare, and Dr. Radhika probably gave the idea, and this is the title they're given. He's conducted more than 100 eye camps, and no eye of any age is exempt from disease or injury. This is what is his term, when it is guarded, protected, and preserved, except when it's guarded, protected. So you can see he's sitting, and he told me, you may be a great retina doctor, so what? You may be a rich doctor, so what? You come to this Dharavi school and teach the students, he used to tell me. So this was a lecture given in 2006 in an ordinary school. I think they were almost a free school, and you can see the school man, Chaladurai, who gave a rental place to us. From 2005, I'm running this center. And this is a talk given by me on eye care for the school children. That too, whatever you call, not corporation also. This is a private free school. And you can see a student asking a question, because that's what my father taught me. And Dr. Badrinath also taught me that make sure the student asks a question. If they don't ask a question, they have not understood, neither they have not. You can see in the written there, Gandhi Memorial Education, that's the Matunga Labor Camp, and that's our daycare clinic. We called it S Center. That means Your Eye Solution Center. And thanks to my father, he was awarded several awards, and he got the Dr. G. Venkateswamy Award for Community Ophthalmology and also Lifetime Achievement Award from Tamil Nadu Ophthalmic. Lesson learned, always give back to the society that has made you what you are, and charity begins at home. So he made sure that I do charity, and I was doing charity right from the time I came to Bombay. I did free eye camps in Mahalakshmi Temple and in Siddhivinayak Temple. That's why I have direct connection with the goddess and the god, and then also all over. And my first teacher and guru, as a young boy, I spent my school holidays and free time at his clinic. I would open and clean my dad's clinic as a room boy, attend to the patients with simple jobs like putting drops in their eye, helping him to write notes, and hold torch for him while examining patient. These were my first lessons in the world of ophthalmology. I also put torch when I was removing foreign bodies from the patient. And we used to make fun of that. What boy used to come to call my father when he was on duty. He taught me to how to organize my files and certificates, something which has remained with me till date. I have maintained my certificates from 1963. It has become a part of my personality and a very valuable lesson. Organization keeps the mind systematic, bringing you closer to success. And I didn't realize this. Dr. Badrinath, when he interviewed me in April 1984, he just asked me to join. Only thing he told me is to go and take permission from your father. You'll never assist him and never be with him. So I didn't understand. But I think later I understood Dr. Badrinath has seen me as a school student, organized with his files, and as a medical student, because I know him from my 5th standard, because the time he came from US to Mumbai, to Chennai, Madras, and because we used to visit every Sunday, many people, including Dr. Badrinath. And during his tenure as a superintendent, he introduced 9 special clinics. You won't believe, he started the first eye genetic clinic in 1984 with the Professor Kumara Manikavel, who's my school classmate, and his professor in the Madras Medical College from Tiramani. And they did the genetic clinic. He has performed over 30,000 cataract surgery. He and my grandfather were the pioneers in eye camps, even before Dr. Venkateswamy, because they were, my grandfather became a LMP LO in 1921 or so, and during 1930 he started the eye department in Tanjore, and that time my father was traveling with him. So I think it is genetics that I think if somebody can do an epigenetic study, maybe some gene will be found. He organized eye exhibition. He has had a habit of collecting eyes. He says eye speaks. The eye just looks good, may not see. That's what is the idea. And he has an eye on eye care for 5 days at Mumbai, which benefited, which was a part of Bombay Ophthalmic Association. He has conducted eye exhibition at all science centers in Tamil Nadu and a special one in Trichy. And this is the exhibition which he has made. You can see the various photographs with me, with Dr. Abdul Kalam when he was not a prime president before that. And from that time, we both are very close to Dr. Abdul Kalam. And this is a center in his name, Dr. N.S. Sundaram Eye Corner, and it is there in the Periyar Science Center and the Birla Planetarium in Madras. And I request whoever can visit the Madras Museum, that is a ophthalmology museum, and also visit this because it's a great contribution to ophthalmology, not because of this. And he was an author. He's written several books in English. And the last Tamil book, it was released by Shivanandan. And also he wrote a book which he dedicated to Shivanandan, and he ignored many of us, and he said Shivanandan is a great man, and the book is dedicated. So he made a trust called Vision is Our Mission. And then he served as the director and rector of Aditya Jyoti Institute of Optometry and mentor of Aditya Jyoti Foundation for Twinkling Little Light. He's carrying the brochure with the Minister Varsha Gaikwad, who's also currently the Minister for Education. We have Anantaraman. To her right is Mr. Eknath Gaikwad, is a member of Parliament from Dharavi. She's MLA from Dharavi, and my father holding that pamphlet on. And then that's the hospital which is born. So teaching only increases your knowledge. And there is no greater honor than being a guru to an aspiring shishya. And that's what he did. And he encouraged me to participate in sports. He was a sportsman. Only thing is, he told me that if you're a sportsman, you'll fail exams, because he failed MBBS because he was a tennis champion. He used to go for tennis tournaments when he was representing state, as well as Stanley Medical College. And then I was at Madras Medical College. Somehow the school, even though they were champions, I wanted to be a football, but they kept me out of this. And also athletics in my school was champion, so I couldn't take part. And so in the medical college, I wanted to be a 100 meters sprinter. But my mentor, Mahesh Kumar, who's still my classmate, but who made me a long distance runner. So I was a long distance champion. So I was doing 10 kilometer running, 5 kilometer, 1.5 kilometers, then 4 into 100 and 4 into 400. I joined NCC. I was an air cadet, and I got a scholarship of becoming a pilot at 10 rupees an hour. But I think my mother took a promise I should not become a pilot. I thank God she didn't take a promise that I should not fly. But I was flying every day after that, I think. And a good sportsman can become a good leader, stamina and good physical health, and important compatriots in the long journey to success. He kept in the car, which I showed with my grandmother, Swami Vivekananda's statement, arise, awake, stop not until you reach the goal. From 1963 onwards, I'm reading that without knowing the meaning. Later, elocution competition, I read about Swami Vivekananda. I lived, my father's house was next to, we shared a compound hall with Ramakrishna Mutt in T Nagar, which was in the Doresami Road. And he was a therapist. Can you imagine? I was an introvert as a child. I was a crying child. I used to play carom board with my own father, cry because I lose the game. I used to play shuttle, I'll lose, I will cry. And I used to miss a pencil or a rubber, I'll cry. I still remember 3 girls. One of them is my classmate, Shanta Gopal, who's a neuropathologist, and she's still practicing in Chennai. And she took something, and then I lost it in the ground in Rajaratnam Stadium. And next day they came home, and I was crying. I went behind my mother and said, I don't know, because I lost that 1 rupee, and that they gave some that fruit or something they gave me. I left it in that ground and came off, where I went for a race. And so he actually arranged a school teacher, a teacher, only to teach me what are the exhibits in the museum, which is I think which is there in Pantheon Road. So I was so what do you call a guide, a tourist guide to all my relatives coming from Achi's village, my mother's village, that is Tenkasi, Pandapuli, Kutralam, LNG, Madurai. All of them, I used to take them around to Madras and show whatever I know I used to tell. So I think he was great. And no obstacle is so tough or large that it cannot be overcome. All it takes is perseverance, which he didn't tell in these words, but I think I learned from him. And then this is the other one. We have this Retina Hall of Fame. I wanted to say, Steve Charles is a pioneer in vitreous surgery. Robert McCammer did the first vitrectomy in 1971. And Dr. Charles Keepens, my mentor, Dr. Badinath's mentor, who was the father of modern retinal detachment surgery, and Jules Gonin, who found retinal hole is retinal detachment, whose name is elected in the history of ophthalmology, not only retina, and then Dr. Badinath, and then myself, all are elected in the Retina Hall of Fame, which started in 1851 until 2016. Nobody can apply because all of them have died, except Steve Charles and myself and Dr. Badinath. But 100 people have died, like Stargards and so many people. But there are about another 142 people whose name are there in the last, from 1851, the ophthalmoscopes were found by von Helmholtz until now. And there's no sense of, don't want to tell with any pride, no ahankar here, no government. But I want to encourage, because I never applied for it. And I actually, I don't know whether Dr. Rohit Shetty remembers, 2011, we conducted the 100 years of first ophthalmologist and the only ophthalmologist who got Nobel Prize, who's Alvar Gulstrand. I thank my dear father, Dr. N. Sundaram, my mother, for making me the person I am today. I started this journey with the blessings of, I promised I will not cry, but I've become emotional. I started this journey with the blessings of Mata, Pita, Guru, my friend Shivananda, and God. Each of us has the power to fulfill our dreams. It only takes one person to make a wish come true, and that person is you. I dreamt of becoming an internationally renowned ophthalmologist in 1965 because Mr. V.G. Panidas taught me the prayer that you make a dream as a prayer and tell that every night. So my prayer was, நான் ஒரு உலக புகழ்பெற்ற கண் மருத்துவராக வர வேண்டும். That means I should become an internationally renowned ophthalmologist. And it has happened. And as Rohit said, I want to work. I thank Dr. Aishwarya Iyer, Dr. Radhika Krishnan, and thank you all for the patient listening. And I think I took more time. Thank you all. And I wanted to thank all the panelists, Dr. K. Robilairi, Dr. Ajay Kumar Handa, Mr. Shivanandan, and Rohit Shetty. And with this, over to you, Dr. K. Robilairi, Karan Bhatia, Sonal, Aishwarya, and Rohit Shetty. I'm sorry. And I think, Shiva, I just listened to Swami Vivekananda even at afternoon when I came, and also in the morning. He says the poor and the most covered should have strength. And the poor people, if they get strength, they will get peace. So in spite of that, I told in the morning to that patient, same patient, if you cry, God will not be there. I'm sorry. I pray God that I will not cry. And I think I always used to tell people who cry are frauds, and I accept at that moment I was fraud. So with this, Kerubi, and
Dr. Natarajan, I don't think it's wrong to cry, because these are emotions which have to flow out. You cannot keep them bottled inside. And see, we all know how close you were to your Achi. So him, your mother, your father, you've lost all of them. So it is going to create a space in you, a void in your life, which does come up when you talk about him. I mean, there are times when even I start crying when I talk about my dad, because though it's 20 years down the line that he's expired. So there's nothing wrong with this, you know. But the thing is that take this as an occasion where you used to be spiritual, but at this point your awakening has started, where you hello.
Yeah.
Your awakening has started, where you've started understanding what it is, you know. I mean, when you understand this concept and it grips you more than what it would be when you're just reading a book and, you know, you're speaking about it. When you feel that thing, because emotion and spirituality, these are both connected. So there is emotional spirituality, there is spiritual spirituality. And the thing is that when both these things get together, this is the beginning of realization for any person. And I'm glad to say that it has already started for you. So I wish you all the best, Dr. Natarajan.
Sonal has prepared very well. Thank you, Sonal. You can start shooting questions to starting with Handa, sir, Rohit, then finally me.
So I have not prepared many questions, but yes, I would like to first of all say that it was very very, I should say, enlightening to hear the entire journey of your father and then your own journey together. And it's just that I don't think that emotions are fraud or anything. I just want to say that they can be our biggest strength and biggest weakness at the same time. Like if somebody is very emotional, they can write poetry and lot of, they can express art through it. And at the same time, if they let them go out of control, they can be harmful. So I don't think that your expression of emotions was something wrong at all. It was very very touching for me as well, and it was a great journey. And thank you so much for inviting us to be a part of this whole event. And thank you to Rohit sir as well for his wonderful presentation and the thoughts that he has shared. I just want to ask a question to the senior people here, like Natarajan sir and Rohit sir, that how to let go of judgments. At a lot of times I've seen that young ophthalmologists at their stages, like there would be some senior and how to react to judgment. Like there are seniors sometimes who would just guide you to do something, give you a sort of power to do that, and then at the same moment take away that power by giving you a lot of instructions and stuff in front of people who are further junior to you. So then there comes a strife, a moment of judgment towards both the juniors and the seniors. So it's like that judgment is there on all sides. So like there should be some mindfulness technique for letting go of judgment also, which keeps creeping in, especially when people say with all due respect. So generally when somebody says with all due respect, it's followed by something which is not very respectful. So any thoughts on that, sir?
One of the ways of letting go judgment is to make your own judgment on somebody and not go by the preconceived judgment of your colleagues or your friends. 99% of them, of your judgment is still from your unconscious state of mind. Let's look at this. I may have a judgment for Professor Natarajan sir, from my unconscious state of mind. And that judgment is linked and wired by multiple sources. And that is not my conscious judgment. Give an example that so and so is so and so.
Rohit, I think your connection is a problem. Rohit, can you hear Mitali?
No, we can't hear him. We can't hear him.
Rohit, your connection is something in the.
Or is there a weak internet?
I think so. From here, we are. It's coming. It's fine till now. You can tell. No, you can't hear you.
There must be some not stable.
Now we can hear you. Yeah, now we can hear you. Yes, yes.
What I'm trying to say is make the judgment from the conscious state of mind, never from unconscious state of mind. And that is what I've learned from all the spiritual teachings. And I'm not mastered it, but I'm not too far away from it. I'm somewhere in between.
And Sonal, I think the slide which last slide which Rohit showed, and then he has just sent me the slide, so I can just show you. So you can see he has sent me the photograph. The reason is, and I think Aishwarya is here, the best fighter is never angry. Lao Tzu, and he's also mentioned a lot of things. I keep reading about Lao Tzu. So I want, I'm still in the path of removing my anger. And I went to Arvindaya Hospital. I went to Swami Vivekananda Rock Memorial. I went to Ramakrishna Mutt in Kutralam, my Achi's place. Now recently I went to Ramakrishna Mutt in Kar, Bombay. Then I went to Ramakrishna Mutt Mission Hospital in Tribal Center. Then yesterday I was in, not yesterday, yesterday, I was in Belur Mutt, Kalighat. Then I also was in Dakshineshwar. I've touched Kali and come. But still, I think I want to confess that when some mistakes happen, I blow my fuse. So I want Aishwarya to say what is happening, because I come with I prepare my mind, I prepare about the patient, and today also I was happy with my team, but I got angry with patient, but I won't say I controlled it, but I think I avoided it. When maybe you can answer that, Aishwarya, whatever you learned in the last 4 months from me. So you can. So Sonal has a question. I hope you understood the question.
Can I say something, Nati?
Yes, please, Karabi.
See, to answer Sonal's question, see, this is something which we all have in us. We have something called as an ego, and it is that ego which doesn't allow us, which makes us feel bad when somebody tells us something in front of a junior. That's the question that you addressed. But if at the same time, you regard the person whom you're working with or whom you're working under as your guru, not only guru in the sense of teaching you, but as a spiritual guru also who's going to lead you to new pathways in your life, you have to get reprimanded to become good. These people also have not had an easy path to the place that they are in the sense that Dr. Rohit, Dr. Natarajan, they have not reached there just very simply. They have also had their turn at things. And because they have regarded their predecessors, whoever has taught them, their gurus, and they have listened to them, they have reached that place. See, remember one thing, Sonal, that any time that you are, see, a person may do good things in life, but when you become exceptional, there's always a divine presence which is guiding that. It doesn't happen because of that individual. And when you're in the presence of that kind of environment which gives you that kind of this, you rub off that divine aura. So all you have to tell your mind that what I'm doing is I'm gleaning from that divine aura to make myself more divine, and whatever else is said or in front of whom it is said is totally immaterial, because this is not supposed to be a block in the path of your future, in the path of your progress, in your path in becoming as big as the person whom you've gone to training for. I think I have answered your question, So let go of your ego, because that ego is not going to take you anywhere. And that is for everybody. I mean, the first lessons that we learn is that the ego has to be compromised. You think yourself as a small kind of mite in God's presence, and if you consider yourself like that, you will never feel the kind of feelings that you're sort of bringing forth at the moment.
Sonal, before Aishwarya says, I will say something experience. One is the first month in Shankar Netralaya. That too, when I joined Dr. Badrinath, it was like joining from government ophthalmic hospital, where it was even indirect was not allowed to be used by us. Switzerland was not allowed to be used by us. And then we went and it was a total like alien there. And then the first month he told start a case and he was struggling. Start a case, start a vitrectomy. And in the first month of fellowship, nobody is allowed to start because that was in 1984. And I didn't know what to do. And then I went back and asked him, sir, how do I start a case? And I don't know. He blew off like anything. And he said, you don't know you don't know how to start a case. You don't know what is ophthalmology. You are zero, this, that. And I almost in tears, I came back outside and said, what do I do now? He said, this is the way out. Get out now. If you don't know how to start a case, you can open, the doors are open. You go on, you can get out of the fellowship. And then I didn't know what to do. Then I came out. There was Sister Sarojini, who's the first nurse for him from 1971. The time he came back from America, she was working in voluntary health service, and in Vijaya Hospital. And the one consulting room was Dr. Badrinath, another consulting room was Dr. P.C. Reddy. You can imagine both have created the history. But what I wanted to convey is he was Dr. Badrinath throws tantrums. But I learned a lot, and I'm sure KRB will accept. She was a fellow when I was a consultant in 84, 88, I think 88, yeah. I remember 88, January, February, I have a photograph. So I've never got angry in when I was in Shankar Netralaya, because everything was given like this. I do this, I get it. Whether it's instrument or a team work or scheduling a case or arranging an anesthetist at night, 12 o'clock in the night or morning 4 o'clock. I mean, everything was go smooth. The year I came in October 88, everything was a problem in Bombay Hospital. But never, I don't remember scolding Karobi Lahiri. She came as a clinical assistant to me, senior clinical assistant after her fellowship, because she was got a job in either an Nair hospital or with me. I'm glad she chose me. Thank God. Otherwise, I was in a fish out of water there, because they don't have a plastic drape, everything. But what I'm trying to tell, even in Bombay Hospital, I used to lose temper because the OT people didn't know. But I used to sit with them. And she gave me food from Cow Gully and also Palwas. And I can't because we used to sit with them in the floor and eat at night to 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, because we are operating till 2 in the morning. Same schedule, Kerobi continues, but I have changed now. But what I want to tell is, I lose my temper. I don't know whether it's judgmental, whatever. I think the problem is now I'm undergoing life coach, and she teaches me give up perfection. So I'm slowly trying. I won't use the word trying, because trying means you cannot. You have to do it. So I am actually given up anger, at least whenever I'm alone, whenever I close my eyes. Today morning also I enjoyed the prayer in Dharavi Center, and the prayer was going long, and I was happy. I forgot where I was. And that's what and I'm also doing a twin heart meditation. The reason I'm doing all this is I want to teach people like Aishwarya and the whole team and the patient whatever I know. And it's like a river of knowledge. And what are you keeping it with me? And I think it should go. And as Rohit says, whatever skill is there, and Dr. Devi Shetty says this, if some surgeon says it is because of the dexterity and their skills, the patient is having vision or surviving with heart surgery, he's a fool. He's fooling himself. Correct. So when I'm operating, I always tell the patient, 30 years back, I think I was telling as to escape from the patient. But truthfully, I think God is operating when I'm operating. Because some patients on my birthdays, I used to operate worst cases, particularly trauma cases with no PL, and the patients have got vision. And I think it's all divinity, nothing to do with me. But I'm happy God has chosen me. I always say, God has chosen me to work on the most interior part of the eye. So I'm an interior decorator, carpenter, and also an architect. So, but I'm an instrument of God. So I think Aishwarya should now add it up, because in spite of all my prayers, my preparation, my meditation, my training with a life coach, I go and lose my temper, which I confess every day. Today I'm confessing here. Tomorrow morning when I do 1 hour of coaching. and then in that I confess. So I don't know. Aishwarya has to tell what has she learned in the last 4 months with me.
Natarajan, as I told you once before also, every time you get angry, count up to 10. Anger will go down.
But today I was okay, I think, Aishwarya. Aishwarya?
I can come back to Dr. Sonal.
Yes, sir.
So, Dr. Sonal, as I understand, you have only actually, if you see, there are only 5 options for somebody who has been fired. One is that you have to accept. Second is that you have to learn. Third is you have to suffer. Fourth is that you have to confront, and you have to escape. So that means in which category would you? So there are 5 things which you will have to do. Now let's assume that this is by sabhava. Now sabhava is not avgone. It's in man's nature. So he's like some of us are water, some of us are like air and fire. So if it's sabhav, it is not an avgone. Suppose if it's hurting, then I can tell you there was a case in my office where somebody felt that the boss is a bully. And then, so I only mentioned, I said, you can, if it's troubling you, at the end of the day, see, there's also a point. So if it's troubling you, you can put in a small personal note. See, and the note stating and saying, and I hold you in highest esteem. And there's so much which I've learned from you. A few things which I just, so I think it works. It had worked in case, because if somebody, but otherwise, rule is very simple. You can only grow under the toughest bosses. I have never seen in my life, there are a lot of case studies which are there. So I've seen that you only have the tough. In fact, Harvard did a study, and Harvard said that these are the soft bosses, these are tough bosses. And then they said the people who actually grow under tougher bosses, number one, they learn from tougher bosses. But then they found out that tough, soft, tough, soft, tough, soft. That approach is better. So, but nevertheless, these are the only, because in every communication, there is a content, there is intent, and there is a sentiment. So
And I think the aim of every tough boss is to make you as perfect as they are.
Yeah,
so you have to accept that. And
Ma'am, I think I would just say that the question was a little misunderstood by everybody, but then let's move on. So the next question to the panel would be that in the journey of young ophthalmologists, and now as maybe in the role of being somebody who's now also a part of some part of teaching also. So I've been noticing that when there is a problem in a patient, and like problem not in a patient but in the patient's procedure or something, and you try to find out where the things went wrong. When you try to do that, there is often it is taken negatively. So how to make it a more positive process, and what is the change in the mind of the other person, that the trainee that should be there for taking the problem finding mission as a positive thing, not as a negative thing. Like there is the step was missed somewhere along the way, some particular step, some page in the file is missing or something, and then you tell them that why was this missing, let us find out. So then that thing should be taken in a positive spirit, so that it doesn't lead to a problem later. But somewhere that ends up being a little negative. So just any anything of that sort. If Karan has also experienced, he's also he's the head of the cornea section at Sitapur, and he's training fellows there. I'm sure he has been experiencing such situations with trainees sometimes. So would you like to share something, Karan?
For trainees, I would say my best student has been Dr. Nikunj Tank. So with him, I had a very positive relationship. He was a friend to me as well. And because it was the reason also that he was a very good surgeon, and he was an accomplished cataract surgeon at the time when I was training him in cornea. So every day he used to come to my house, or every surgery that he did, he used to, send me a message that or post-op picture immediately as the surgery ended, till the time he was a fellow. That this is the pre-op picture, this is the post-op picture, how can I manage it? So the point is, you need to communicate well with your fellows and your post-graduations in a very and your postgraduate students in the nicest of ways as well. But you need to be stern with them also at times when they have made a mistake. But yes, you can do that in a confidential manner. For example, I had made a blunder when I was a postgraduate student. So I would name the surgeon. The surgeon was Dr. Seema Ramakrishnan. She was one of my teachers there. Since I had made a blunder, she called me separately to her OPD, made everybody go out, and then told me in a way that, Karan, this is a blunder that you have done, and the patient could have lost the eye. So I can never forget that, and this made me respect her, to the utmost level that is possible. That she gave me the respect that I deserve, or I had, and in fact more than that. And she also taught me, gave me an important lesson in the clinical acumen, and as well as dealing with my juniors when they make a mistake.
Rohit, you can say something where you want to leave, and Sonal also wants to leave.
Thank you, sir. Just one thing to all the people who are training and all the people who are getting trained. Remember what I said. Be in the conscious state of mind when you're getting trained and being trained. When you're training and being trained. The reason is when you're in unconscious state of mind, you'll only think about all your past mistakes you did as a trainer and also as somebody undergoing training. So your hands remembers the message from the subconscious mind. So breathe in, breathe out, come to the conscious mind and start working on it. This is what we have learned training more than 250 odd people over the last 20 years. I mean, that's only from the anterior segment, a lot more from the posterior, which I don't personally involve myself in. But the state of mind is the most important thing when you're training. It's not your skill, not your. I mean, I agree with what Dr. Devi Shetty said. It's not your how dexterous your hands are or how blessed you are. There's nothing called as a blessed surgeon or a gifted surgeon. Gift is only when you control your mind. So all I'm saying to all the youngsters here is the gift is when you control your mind very strongly. The gifted surgeon is one who has tremendous control on your conscience. And the poor surgeon is one who has absolutely no control on it. You try on a day when you are had a very tough time at home or you had a fight with somebody and just you may be the best surgeon doing a best cataract surgery. Just see your rexus, the first case. Just go back and check your weight. Why should a rexus run off in your hand? That's because your state of mind is bad. So I have learned this a lot from Devi Shetty himself for the last 20 years. And he always used to say that there is nothing called. I asked him, are you blessed? You must be blessed because your hands are always being blessed and whatever you touch works well. He said, I've never been that. I never considered that as blessing. Just how strong I am with the mind. And for that, he says, I practice a lot on my mind. Get up 4 o'clock in the morning he does maybe 2 or 3 hours of meditation, karate, everything which builds up your mind strength, not your skill. They don't sit and see YouTube videos and build up your skill. So I request everybody, along with your skill, please put at least half an hour on doing something which strengthens your mind. That is my statement. I would my part of my talk here today by saying that all of you are gifted with your hands, but a lot of us not gifted with that strength of mind. That's all I would like to say. Thank you, Professor Natarajan.
Thank you.
And,
Rohit, I have a small comment to make. Hello.
Yes, Karen.
Rohit, hello.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rohit, I just wanted to mention that it's a very good thing that you all are sort of teaching your students meditation and asking them to do that, because in such scenarios where there is some little extra stress, you all are teaching them how to de-stress, so which is a very big thing,
This is in our curriculum. Every Wednesdays we do it, but in the past we used to do it physically. But I hope once the vaccination is done, we'll get back that, because I'm a firm believer. Again, I'm repeating this fifth or sixth time, but more you repeat, the brain gets more adapted. It's your mind. It's not your hands.
Rohit, I just want to say, I gave a joining letter, which I'm trying to get it back from Dr. Badrinath. I wrote to him in April '84, saying that kindly sculpt me as a vitreoretinal surgeon. And he really sculpted me. You take the hammer and a chisel, and you can know when you're sculpted, it will paint. The diamonds are cut. And that's a thing for Sonal. And the other one is Shivanandan sent a message. I just now saw he's a speaker in, we have a CEO forum. I'm also a member. But he sent a message about the program. Excellent speech by Dr. Rohit Shetty. I'm highly educated by him now. And I'm so happy that I heard him fully. Thanks to you, Nati. Just I left Nati to join the CEO group. I have to speak there. So I'll send you the message and his number. Maybe you can just text him, because I think he's my friend, philosopher, guide, and everything for me. And a parent. Like, even though I lost my real parents and grandparents, but he's everything for me. So Sonal, you also want. Thank you, Rohit, for your time. I know you have got another program. I think I want you to interact with you like this. You tell me. I know you are very busy, but we should meet either in Zoom, or you'd call me one day. I'll come to Bangalore.
No more Zoom. Zoom is over.
Okay. Why not I come to Bangalore or you come to Bombay? No. What I'm saying, why not we have a physical meeting with you either in Bombay or in Bangalore?
Bombay, ma'am is there. And I have a lot of my fellows sitting and listening. They're all from Bombay. They're allowed to.
Okay. What I'm suggesting is Mr. Handa has got a beautiful auditorium. I think 100 can sit there, sir.
Yeah, we have about 55 can sit
Okay.
comfortably.
So we'll have 55 people, and Mr. Handa will host us the beautiful facility.
I will be very happy.
I know the facility is for showing that we can. Everybody in Bombay at least can do a direct basic science research with whatever they are doing, and with you, Rohit. Plus, we can also discuss other thing as a regular meeting, and then your fellows and whoever is interested can have a regular meeting there. I think 50 is enough to meet, so that we have an eye-to-eye contact and really get something going. So I hope you'll fix the date and we'll organize it.
And this is next to Grand Hyatt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also a small tour of my R&D lab, where we've done about 50 molecules for the first time, pioneered API. And also we have got 50 bedded CRO. And we
Very great.
That is really great. 50 bedded clinical research organization with ICU, they are already doing for a lot of things.
And Rohit, we'll love to have you in Bombay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sonal.
Sonal, you have any question? Oh, Sonal has left. Okay, Karan, and you have to take over and ask some questions. And who else is there? Avnesh is there. Avnesh?
I think Nati, what this one said about Ikigai, the best example is your Achi,
Yes.
Because at 103, she is so straight, and it's only in the last few months where she required some help. Otherwise, she was managing all right so well.
Right.
She's the example.
I was the blessed one to get blessing from Achi, like on Zoom, of course, but she could lift her hand and blessed me and said that this is Mitali.
She was very sweet. She was very, very sweet. Yeah.
So Avnesh and Aishwarya and Karan. Karan, you have some questions?
Okay, sir. I'll ask one question. It is very difficult, to be spiritual at the time when you're doing a hectic work, and specifically, like, I'm overworked. So it gets really difficult to balance, your personal life along and with your clinical or your work life. What would you suggest, could be done?
Once there's a Narad Muni was telling he's the best spiritual man and was praying Vishnu. And Vishnu said, go and follow that fire cutter, wood cutter, and then find out and come back and tell me. Oh, he says only Narayana when he gets up, and when he goes to sleep, he says Narayana. He says, what is the big thing about? Then he gives Lord Vishnu gives him something to hold him and said, you go around the world, but you should not spill it. And he could not tell once also Narayana, because he was concentrating on holding it. So that what he said is, that fellow, when he got up, he thanks God that he's alive, like Ikigai, and he says, I'm Vishnu, you are there. So Krishna has mentioned this to Arjun. If you cannot give up the five senses, we become a Muni or a yogi. You can keep your Krishna in Krishna consciousness. This is what he mentioned. He used the word consciousness. If you keep Krishna consciousness and do the work, that's enough. And you are already doing spiritual work. And only thing you have not realized it, I'm happy you asked the question. I hope you will realize it from now. That you pray And you don't, and everything you do, you dedicate to them automatically, you'll not be overworked. So I always tell this: when you work with love and passion, there is no hard work and there's no problem. And I think definitely you have to balance. There are the 5 balls which Dr. Rakesh Sharma talks. There are 4 are rubber balls. When you drop it, you can get it back. But the one is family, which is a glass ball. You drop it, it breaks. So what he says is you have to balance. And if you see the science of balancing, if you do 5 balls, each ball has to be in the air for the same time, which is an art. So you have to, even 1 ball is sometimes difficult for many. 2 is bit difficult, then 3, 4 like that. So he claims that 5 is, one is personal life, other is the professional life, then is physical, like that fitness, and the 4th and 5th, I forgot what is, the family, family, and then 5th is work. So all the others except the family are rubber ball. For example, you don't do exercise for 1 year, 1 month, nothing will happen. You will not die. But if family breaks, you can't get it back. And then the other one is a profession. For example, I gave this talk during your young ophthalmic. I said 15,000 people were there. I told them, doesn't matter, yeah, 6 months you didn't operate or 1 year you didn't operate, nothing will happen. Or you didn't get trained. What is the problem? And I am glad Aishwarya joined in that time of COVID, and she was wondering what to do. So she said, I'll do fellowship from home. I said, how can you do that? You have to come. I'm glad she shifted, she made a home next to the hospital. She has spent money, time, and equipping that house to stay next to the hospital. What does that mean? A dedication to learn. So I told her, you learn. So I mean, she's the only child of the parents, and she was in 10 years in hostel in a medical college under MBBS and then MS. Now again, for 1.5 years, she did 2 years actually. She decided to stay here and work, which is amazing. I only really tell her, please learn everything. So I think I hope I have answered you, Karan. And Aishwarya, you have to now say something because you are trying to say, but we didn't allow you. Aishwarya?
Can I answer Karan's the question? Karan, when you are thinking of balancing both your family, your work, your stresses, your tension, all you have to do is that put the thought to your subconscious mind. And it is best done when you're either getting into the sleep mode or you're waking up from a sleep mode. Because at that time, your subconscious is at its peak. Okay, it listens to everything that you say. So what you have to do is that whatever things that you want out of your life, you want things to go well, you want your family life to be good, you want like patient inflow to be good, you want patients to be conducive, not argumentative, not irritative, all those kind of affirmations you can give it to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind will do it for you. So just before you go off to drift off to sleep, lie flat on the bed, hands on the bed, and give your affirmations to your subconscious mind. It will listen to you.
Yeah. Aishwarya, you want to say something? Hello, Aishwarya?
Hello,
there?
am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Hello.
Yes, audible.
Sorry, my net is very audible. Yeah, okay. Sir, actually, I'm just basking in this talk because it was wonderful. I learned a lot of things as a young fellow. I think to be in the presence of such great personalities like Dr. Rohit sir and yourself and Handa sir and all the Yossi team, I think it was great. And sir, like to answer a lot of things that were discussed here. Sir, I felt that, sir, you emotional and you are not struggling with anger management. It is just that, sir, I feel you're such a perfectionist and you expect that level of perfection in everyone. And I only hope that at some point in my life, I can even be 1/4 a perfectionist as you are, because the way your workflow functions, the perfection that you see, that you aspire, I think that is a driving force behind your team. So sir, I think it's not wrong. It's just that, sir, it is I know I can understand your frustration when I see you getting angry, sir. I put myself in your shoes and I totally get it. It's like, sir, I respect you so much, and I really like what we go through in the OPD every day. And daily I promise you that we as a team are striving to reach closer to your goal of perfection, sir. I assure you one day we will be there.
Is Avanish Upadhyay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for having me here. And it was a very good talk by Dr. Rohit, sir, and by you, sir. I was actually traveling when you were asking about me. I just wanted to ask how differently do you actually look in with the immediate postgraduates or to a fellow? How differently do you approach and how do you actually bring them up? And what different approaches you have. Dr. Lahiri ma'am can also answer because I think ma'am is also seeing some peers, some postgraduates and for fellows for the
Yes.
same.
So I think so, definitely. I'm happy Lahiri has seen me from day one of, not day one, maybe a year later in Bombay Hospital. So we were working. So anyway, I think my thing is I always pick up even from ordinary boys who are illiterate and made them OT boys, both in Bombay Hospital and in Aditya Jyot. And Kairobi knows everybody. And that's why, and then the fellows and the people who are doing postgraduate, I think as yeah, Aishwarya said, and I think when they make a mistake, we have to correct them, as Mr. Handa Sahab told, that and Karibi also said, as a Shishya, you have to take it. First of all, you search up Guru and you join him. I think you have to find out what exactly he wants you to be. So I actually told Aishwarya and every fellow, you'll be better than me. That's my idea of fellowship. So that for that, I think when there's a mistake happening, if they don't realize it, I think I'm changing my attitude, but you have to make sure that they learn. So I think the idea will be to encourage them, and I force every postgraduate fellow, even optometrist, to publish. And I used to, as an Indian Journal of Ophthalmology editor, I started as publish or perish, and the last 3 years, from 15 to 17, I changed to publish and flourish. How do you flourish? That some institutes give some prize money or for publication. Sometimes you get better grant because you are published. You'll get. Sometimes you get awards. Sometimes you get more recognition from your peer. So publish and flourish. So I think if you read the Will's manual, which is actually started by a resident, and it is for the residents in ophthalmology, not by the big people. And that's a great part of America, where you may be a first year resident and you can be a co-author or a first author. Why not? Because you have a concept. And I think that I encourage. Only thing, if they have really sometimes totally not accepting, I tell them, please, sir, I can't understand. You go to some other guru who will understand you. I remember 2, 3 fellows. One of them is Anish Nikra. He's in the US. He's now become a neuro-ophthalmologist after being with retinal. He was a retinal surgeon. Both, I think, with retinal and neuro-ophthalmology. He actually argues with me. He argues with Steve Charles. He also he has his own thinking, but I allowed him to think. I allowed him to argue with me. But beyond the point, I told him I can't understand what you're asking me. So I said, but he's doing well. Even now, some things you were talking. So I think the idea is to encourage, because I remember when I went from Shankarnetralaya to, Government Eye Hospital to Shankarnetralaya, I was like a fish out of water because of the training and the way it was. And even and the way whatever they were dealing with patients, we had teachers who were hitting the patient with a torch, saying that "Arey, aankh kholne ka bola, muh khol raha hai." In South India, they had that all these poor people, they'll close the eyes and open the mouth when you want to put the drops or open the eye. I mean, I don't know what reflex it is. Sometimes I used to like come. I used to tell eye
So the
mouth
reflex is
reflex.
everywhere. The reflex is everywhere.
No, I know, but I don't know how it has come. Well, when you tell them to open the eye, they will tightly close the eye and open the mouth. So I remember some professor used to put drops in the mouth. I used to feel very bad because it was humiliation. Anyhow, I learned how to treat a patient, because if you see Dr. Badrinath doing a refraction, can't believe, as a veterinary surgeon, he will say, can you like this? And can you like, same words he will do. Not only for ordinary patient, whether it's a minister or whether it is an ordinary patient. I can't believe it, because I used to think refraction is boring. And so happened my first refraction, that a patient came and fought with me. And my stipend was 1,500 rupees. He bought a glass for 3,000 rupees and told me, you pay me, I can't read with this glass. So I went to Dr. Badrinath, the fellow is fighting with me, sir, I have to pay. So finally he took get the refraction. I don't know what he talked to him. He said, you go, I'll manage. He managed it. I don't know, maybe the mesmerizing talk, but it gave me a lesson, because I made a mistake. And then the patient, I don't know what he thought, but he knew, I don't know what he covered. And same thing happened in my hospital. So I paid the optical shop and I told him, you change and give, and don't fight with the patient. So that, and the two optometrists were there. Now and then after that, I told them, come on here, it's not a question of making, but see that your own father comes, you give a wrong prescription, How can you walk or read? So think about it. But anyhow, at that moment, I may shout, I may tell that, oh, you made a mistake. But I think I don't know how to teach them. I mean, and I'm relearning. And as Kairobi says, if you consider somebody as a teacher and learned person, I think I hope Anesh, I'm answering your question. I think you have to take everything, and then there's a Tirukural which says, "Eppurul yar yarvai keppinum, appurul meipurul kanbede arivu." Because even your teacher, that is Dr. Badrinath for me, and whoever is your guru, whatever he taught, and Dr. Badrinath also taught this: check, cross-check, recheck, counter-check, and actually it become a what do you call compulsive, obsessive compulsive disorder. But doesn't matter, because I still remember first buckle I did as a consultant. He asked me, "How's the intraocular pressure in the night?" Now what will I do? I mean, he's asking me, "Did you see pulsation?" And I didn't remember. So a whole night, till I saw the next day, I was worried, because that was the way. And I remember still, he'll walk into my OT because
I thought you got up and went
no,
to
no.
see the pressure.
And one day he was asking me while operating vitrectomy, he came and asked me, "Are you operating the correct eye?" So when he asked me, "Are you operating the right eye?" I didn't understand. Actually, I was operating left eye. So I told, "No, sir, I'm operating left eye." Are you operating the right eye? He asked me. That means he asked me, "Are you operating the right
Correct
eye?"
eye.
And I put a third also to see the chart, where the chart is behind. But actually, that's a way of checking. But what I meant is, even if your guru teaches, I think you should know on your own, and no point in asking a question him back just because you didn't understand. But I think you should do enough. But still, you don't understand, you can ask him. And I think he always said, the American teacher taught him that you should encourage the student, undergraduate or a PG or a fellow, to ask questions to yourself. But I think the PG also should not ask a question in front of the patient. Array, that other doctor made a mistake or what, sir. Like that, if loose comments are done, the patient will have problem. They may go and file a case. And learning should be done privately. As the Karan mentioned, when a mistake is done, like particularly patient and surgical steps, I think it has to be done not even in front of the staff, because they may lose, may be related or whatever. But if we are not doing anything wrong, so sometimes I make the fellow get down and I take over and manage it. But the question here is, I think we have to have confidence with the doctor, and the junior should also have that respect that he's learning, and he know his limit and should not cross the limit. And then I think you'll be a great learning. And I think the guru shishya and a surgery is like a olden days guru shishya relationship. And I think if that is understood, I don't know whether you know, Karan and Avnish, that when you go in a guru shishya relationship, when the shishya goes to the guru's house, first he cleans the house for 2 years, and our next year he cooks, and the fourth year the guru will ask, "What for you have come?" And you can imagine, 3 years he has to wait. You cannot ask a question. "I have come for learning, and what are you making me wash the clothes and cleaning the house and telling the things to tell?" No, it is the old Gurukula. The same thing in surgery, no? I remember still, because I used to learn steps, and I don't remember the fellow in 91 or 92. I used to tell the fellow, "Arey, why not you practice what I taught you? Then you come and teach me 1 year later, sir, I did this, and can you follow?" When I'm working, he'll tell me, "Why not you do this and why not you do that?" I said, "Don't allow me to do the way I want," because Dr. Badrinath's mentor told him not to use silicon oil. If you use silicon oil, you're actually a bad retina surgeon. But Dr. Badrinath was great. In 1986, he brought all the Japanese surgeons, Dr. Akira, what is his name? Yamanaka.
Momose.
Dr.
Momose.
Not Momose. Momose is
Akira
a
Momose.
surgeon. No.
Yeah.
This is Dr. Akio
Yamanaka.
Yamanaka, then
Yamanaka.
Dr. Kenji Oshima, and Dr. Anatomy. So I remember all three of them because I had done more vitreous surgery than them. But even then, they came and used an instrument called WISC 10 that time. And they brought the machine from Japan and did vitrectomy and showed how to use silicon oil before Dr. Jovanovich. This was in January 86, I think. But and then I went with Dr. Yamanaka to All India Institute, and in front of Tiwari, I told Yamanaka, "I've done more vitrectomy than you." And then when he came to life surgery, he'll ask me, "Have I done the surgery well?" I said, "No problem, you've done well." And that is what Shivanandan taught me, and that's what is written in 3,000 years back in Tamil. Just because somebody is great, you don't have to totally go gaga over him. Just because somebody is junior to you, you don't have to put them down. So I think you have to know your level and keep learning. And even today I learn, and something new I learn. English I learned. Like Shivanandan taught me that don't be a servile. And I had to do Google, I had to do dictionary to learn. That means he said, don't be a servant just because somebody is great. You are a great surgeon. When you are going to learn, you yourself are what do you call a luminary or something, or a superstar. Why do you want to think somebody is a superstar? So I think one is you should realize and no need to have a headway. And I think Avnish, maybe Kerubi can add for a fellow.
No, the thing is that you get students who are like either post MS for further studies, but what we get is a fresh graduate who has just passed out and he's just entered into post graduations. So the thing is that they are like wooden blocks, whom you have to carve out. So they, you have to be down at that basic level to teach them. They are going to make mistakes. You are going to get irritable. But the thing is, it's all in the game, because you have to slowly, steadily teach them the right way. Yeah, you have to be firm. But the thing is that, see, Dr. Natarajan, I have not known you getting angry in Shankar Netralaya or at Bombay Hospital. Okay, it was a good working relationship where anger didn't come in at all. So
Yes.
you have to get rid of that.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I
You
agree.
have to get rid of it.
No,
You
all
have to reason with them. If
right.
they do something wrong, you tell them, I do not like this, very firmly,
Right.
and I want a corrective step immediately. Just 2 lines should be good enough. Don't get angry,
Sure.
because you're
Sure.
wasting your energy doing that.
I agree. I agree.
And
Definitely.
the thing is, anger always changes the balance of your life. So never allow yourself to get into that mode.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I think there's too much on your plate. That's the reason why you get angry. So you have to learn to delegate, and your meditation will help you.
I agree. Because when I met Ramakrishna Chief, who manages 235 centers in Belur Mat, I was amazed.
Huh.
He is totally not perturbed. Everything he knows. And he was cool. He gave me half an hour. That means half an hour he listened to me. And then he allowed me to go to Belur. Amazing. And everything worked like clockwork. So many people, no? It's not a he told me he has to train monks to become like rather he takes the PhDs and takes the monk, and they are in the whole university in Calcutta, and there's a big Institute of Medical Science. I forgot the name. He said it was a few kilometers away. Amazing. So I think I agree. And same thing, I went to Madurai to find out how Dr. Venkateswamy worked, because I know him from childhood. I just went and told Dr. Ravindran, Dr. Namperamal Swami, and Kim. I just came to know how Arvind is working without nobody shouting, nobody screaming, and how does it work. And I think I know. I actually told Dr. Badrinath when I left in '88, sir, one thing I don't want to learn is anger. And unfortunately, both Dr. Badrinath and Dr. Gulapalli Rao inaugurated the hospital, and I think I won't blame them. I think it's I won't even blame myself, but I think, as you rightly said, I have to do this internal assessment or whatever it is looking inwards. And I like to talk to Mr. Handa every week so that I become all right, and I talk to you also. And I wanted to tell you, Lahiri, that when I read the autobiography of Yogananda, a book there, na? So everywhere the man says Lahiri Lahiri. I don't know whether
Yes.
you read the book. So I'm surprised you're having a spiritual great grandmother, and I wanted
Great grandfather.
so it looks like a great grandfather. Sorry, it looks like we are all. It's a plan of divine plan that you are working with me, and we are friends, and we are doing. And people only see the superficial that we are friends and this and that. But I'm
And we
glad
dance
that
together.
not only that, no, that's together fine. I think we are really spreading happiness. But what I'm trying to spread is, I think we dance together. I think we are teaching as a how I won't call it whatever teacher student or male female. I think I'm glad we are showing the world how we have to have that harmony of happiness,
Exactly.
not just
Exactly.
some male dancing with a girl. I mean, if you see people talk like that, oh, I remember some people, oh, you're talking with all the girls. I do no touch technique, man. Karan, anyhow, so Karan, the answer to your question, Avnish, is when you are young, you are not mentally ready to listen to all the spirituality. But I'm glad in my father's name, and thanks to Mr. Honda, he's a very evolved person. I mean, he is a spiritual person for many years, and I somehow accidentally found that while talking to him. By reading his messages, I was interested in talking to him. So I want to talk to him, and the whole idea is to bring out everybody is divine, and I think it has to come out. And I think the patient will recognize Karan, because when you see a patient happy, you are happy. Why? Because you're seeing God in him. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. I carry so many gods in my pocket. Vivekananda says, why are you searching God outside?
Sir,
It's within you.
I operated a patient, this young boy. The video is on Facebook. 18-year-old has not seen anything since he was born or something. That was the history he had given. It was an adherent glaucoma, one eye. I did a PK. There was an IOL was there was apparently there was a cataract surgery done at a young age. IOL was decentered. I took it out. Then I did a the vitrectomy. I did the vitrectomy. Then I put a three-piece IOL in the sulcus, followed by which I did a pupilloplasty. The patient had just PL when I was operating the patient. Post-operative day one, the patient had a vision of 1 by 60, only 1 by 60. But the patient said, God, Dr. Saab, you have changed my life. I am seeing colors for the first time in my life.
Yes.
It was a beautiful message. I can't forget it. It just makes me smile every time I think about it.
Exactly. So I think that's the main lesson. I think when you said as a spirituality how to do. So I don't know. Washi store iPhone. I don't know who's.
Before I leave, I'm just going to tell you one small story. It
Oh,
is,
that's your
the
phone.
question.
It comes as Washi store iPhone.
Yes. So that's why. There's a small story, There was this patient of endophthalmitis who did not do well, even after the surgery. And I knew that he would not really recover anything, But that guy was so positive that even when I'm seeing that the eye is not doing well, he's telling me, Doctor, I can see. And I was shocked. I said, how can you see? I know that he can't see. He says, no, doctor, I can appreciate everything. I'm so happy I can see. So this is, I think, what positivity does to anybody, because he was so positive that I was amazed. Even for a person who cannot see with a particular eye, to say that thing is also a big thing for me. So it is just that you have to be positive in all fields of your life. Think positive, never think negative. The negative thoughts which are there, just do away with it, especially when you're seeing patients or operating, and infuse that positivity in your patient, because they will always do well thereon.
I agree.
Natarajan,
Yeah.
I have to leave. There are some
Thank
patients
you.
waiting.
No, I know that. Thank you, Kale. And
Okay, thank you. Bye. It was a lovely
dances.
meeting. Yes, we should.
Yeah. So in this way,
Bye.
I think finally probably Mithali is the only person who didn't talk. So maybe I'll request Mithali to conclude by giving a vote of thanks to. I will also tell thanks to your Young Ophthalmic Society of India.
Okay, I'll wait for a vote of thanks.
Mithali, also summarize from in whatever 2-3 lines. One line for Mr. Handa, one line for Rohit Shetty, and one line for all of us.
Thank you, sir. It is really a wow evening. I mean, like a spirituality and healing put together. As I could recall only one statement, it's like a satsang. Sir always says what I've learned. He's my mentor, Mr. A.K. Handa, my boss. He's my mentor. He's like, what I am today is because of him. And he always says you should always have satsang, that what is the company, it decides what you're going to be. As the Ramcharitmanas says that Binu Satsang Vivekana hoi, Rama Kripa binu Sulabhana soi, right? So they say whatever is happening today, I can say that it cannot be happened without the divine grace. It's not possible that all of us are together today in one platform. Like Natarajan sir, Larry ma'am sir, Rohit sir, and all YOSI members here, including Dr. Aishwarya. So which is really amazing today, and I thank all of you. Especially Dr. Rohit Sethi sir, what I carry today from him, though he is not here. So I say it is that mindful mind. What he said is mindful mind. Do it for 21 days and it will be in your subconscious mind. I'm going to do something to reprint my mind. From Natarajan sir, of course, I am in touch with him. I see his live videos every day on Facebook, day in, day out. I learn a lot from him, sir. So thank you so much. And it is again a divine mercy that I get in touch with you through AIOS platform that day. And it has been a great learning for me. And sir, it is a daily learning from sirs. And thank you so much, sir, for taking the time out. I know how busy your schedules are. Thank you so much. And ma'am, so much you have added. Like sir said, you are graceful. You carry the aura. I still remember the photograph taking the stall with you. And I mean, this is still so fresh in the back of the mind. Thank you so much for being here, and the entire USC team, Dr. Karan, Dr. Avnish, Dr. Singh, and I think Dr. Devikan could not make it today, but Dr. Sonal also has a great contribution. The entire USC team will be looking forward from center behalf to get associated with from different forums. Maybe you meet once again with the help of coordination from Dr. Natarajan. And a special thank you to Dr. Aishwarya for all the moderation and all this inputs that were given.
Mitali, do you have the statistics of Facebook and YouTube?
Sir, I can get it. I'll get it now.
Okay, you put it in the group and include Dr. Kairabilahiri in the group. I think either you or me have to include her so that she'll also be part of whatever discussion. But I forgot to include her.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the other one is if it is available, then I think it's not for marketing. I request Karan and Digvijay Singh to propagate it in the as a YouTube thing for each one. I mean, it takes time. It's almost 6:30 to 9 is 2.5 hours. So I think for me time is because it's involved in everything. But I think people can see in bits so that I think they can refresh themselves and learn.
Sir, we have done the recording also.
No, I know that. No, it is there in the YouTube also. It's going
Yes,
on.
sir.
So thank you so much, and thanks, Mr. Handa. My suggestion is, Young Ophthalmic Society of India. I'm using the word use Centaur House. You can see in the Hitendra Punamia's thing. The Centaur House is such a big building, amazing. Because I'm happy to see the founder, and I remember, because Mr. Handa told me that he was come with him. Also, Mr. Dr. Amit Rangnekar, which they have come to Dadar in '90. So, and now whatever we are growing, and I think I'm happy to be associated with them. Still, I've not started anything with them, but I hope to do. So I think it's a great thing to have a link as a Young Ophthalmic Society with the center in an academic thing. And I think if you have a chance, you can also do a a meeting. There's 50 people in, which is allowed now. I think is it allowed, sir?
No, perfectly. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's allowed.
Absolutely.
So why not we do the first physical meeting, Karan, in Bombay?
In fact, we have always wanted on Saturday, Sunday, because this is all vacant, should be put to good use by doctors. The auditorium is right at the central place. And I have always said, Dr. Karan, I have always said that this is more of an academic house, less of a business. Business, more of an academic institute, less of a business house.
Sure.
And the students do their PhD in clinical pharmacology and pharmaceutical chemistry with us. And the Pune University gives them the degree and the certificate. And that is how, and out of 25 US FDA inspections which have happened, we have hardly had a noting, and they have all been nil 483 observation, which is a rare feat.
Yes,
in India. So we are all my directors are from NCL Pune, and some of them are of course from DY Patil and other colleges. So we have it's not somebody into business beginning of business. They are all PhDs in clinical pharmacology and pharmaceutical chemistry.
And
So
you have sir, like I just want to ask Karan, you have a Yosi Maharashtra Mumbai branch?
Yes, sir. Maharashtra has a UC division. Yes, sir.
Okay, how many people are there? Any idea?
I am not aware of that. The stats.
Approximately.
Sir, I'm not aware of that.
So what my suggestion is, Mr. Handa can give a date for whichever date, and have a program on leadership for AOC at the center. And we can choose 50 people only to come so that we are following the norms, and they are also easy to manage in the COVID time.
We can do that, sir. We can do that, sir.
Sir, Mr. Handa, sir, you can give a date, and we can do a program with OC on whatever topic they want. I'm suggesting leadership.
We only wondered if it would be good if it's Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. No, we are. Sir, now everybody is working. That's why Sonal, Kalia, and Rohit and everybody went, because they are all working. And I also work, and nowadays I decided I'll work till 4 in the private, and then after 4 I will do all this spirituality, then training.
And I did make a statement. I said this Yosi and the young ophthalmology in India are very lucky because they have professors who are more than willing to give their time. And that's why I said for Dr. Natarajan, I said every minute is value addition. It's music to the ears when he speaks, and it's so wonderful to see messages. I'm quite amazed. We have normally man like me, space, pause, space, pause. He can be, I don't know where does he draw his energy from. He's space. So
mentally younger than all of us.
Mentally younger than all of, yeah. And you made a statement. You said when I had asked you, I think I was asking, the first question was that what is the qualification for being a member of Yosi? You said everybody at heart is less than 40. I can tell you he's 20, less than 20. Because the never ending, and in 4 hours he can continuously, he said he can dance. And the best thing is the company of friends which he has, the circle which he has. He has got everybody which he picks and chooses, and then he doesn't leave them. That's how it is. And he keeps you on your toes. And that's something which is good. So you need people like him so that you are also active and you remain vibrant. So it's wonderful. So it's amazing. And there's a big shift which is happening. I can see in his total what everybody speaks for him now. I think I can see the underlying messages and the vibes you get. At the end of the day, you get, when you speak to him, you get those vibes.
This is what I'm going to read for you. This is a book given by another spiritual person.
Right.
He written, "Dear Dr. Natarajan, may this book be your turning point in life.
Yeah.
You are meant for a much bigger, higher purpose. Have faith and follow the divine within."
Yeah,
So,
and I have told him, I had actually sent one of the messages which I sent him on WhatsApp was, I said, have you written a book so far? So he says, not yet. So I said, no, you have to start thinking, you must write a book. There's so much. Look at the presentation which he's done. I think such vast collection. And I think, and this also tells you, Dr. Karan, at the young age, that you have got to keep on capturing the moments. You have to click them. I think that's something, and which he says from 1960, 63, he's got all his certificates intact, and which I don't have. In fact, today I was asked that, can you do your profile? So I said, I've got 137 certificates from here and there. I don't know where are they. Which is amazing. So he's compiled them and kept them. So I think it's so good.
and thanks for the, what do you call, my
It's
father
fortunate to be in his company. Fortunate to connect to him.
No, I'm also fortunate, sir. And I think without people, we can't teach or whatever. So whatever I learned, I think I want to give back, so that there's a saying in Tamil, "Yam petra inbam peruha ivayagam." That means whatever joy I'm getting, let the not the world, let the universe get it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. So more you do, more you get. I keep on getting. So I tell the patient, we have a unique program in Aditya Jyoth. When a patient from PL gets vision like 1/60 or even 1/60 to 6/60, we have a program called Celebrate Vision. I get a cake, whether a patient has got recurrence or somebody doesn't have vision, somebody has some problem. In common place, I cut and we put it in the YouTube. And that's called the Celebrate Vision. And then when you put it to the YouTube, it becomes Happy Smile from Aditya Jyoth. So every day I do this and I want it to be my habit. The idea is, more you're grateful to the God or nature, whatever you say, you get more. So in this matter, more you get vision. And you imagine, Karan, as an ophthalmologist, more you get vision. What do you get more? Tell me. Apart from when you get more, huh?
Happiness.
Okay, then what else?
Smile, happiness, and your life changes basically.
No, you get name, fame, money. All of us are working only for that in the beginning. But I am now not working for that. Now I am working whether the name is there or not. But what I'm saying, all of us are working for name, fame, money, and whatever ego you can call it. Because without working, how do you look after the family? You have a family, you're committed, and you want to do your own person. So what I'm trying to say, if more patient gets more vision, everybody will pay you. Apart from charity also, that pays you. Charity gives you blessing, and paying patients give you money. And without paying patients, how do you support a center lab? You have to support. No, I'm really telling.
But I was very happy with Dr. Karan's cases which he has mentioned.
Right.
I and the one which he says of this child seeing colors, and it's so good. So I think it's very promising of the young ophthalmologist. I've been dealing with ophthalmology. I can tell you from when Dr. Daljit Singh started in Amritsar, and at the time when I used to, and I told you, I said I was a paying guest with Dr. Madan Mohan, the first chairman of RPO Ophthalmic Center, with his mother at his mother's house.
Yeah.
And his son-in-law and his brother-in-law was an ENT surgeon. So Dr. N.L. Nath. So I was staying in their house. So that means I had very close connect from that time onwards. So I see Dr. Karan Bhatia, I see you making a big time name in future.
Yes,
you can get to feel that. I've known doctors. I've known doctors, and I'm very close. I get I'm good. I know doctors plenty, but like Dr. Natarajan, there are very few that I would like to be as close to and seek so much of learning and enlightenment from.
Tadastu, no? Karan, I think you're blessed well. Plus, I think the main thing is your training, because I think the Arvind model, Arvindo, and like mother, I think you have got all that imbibed. I can see that. It's great.
That video which is, I just saw Dr. Karan's Everest of corneal surgeries of that 18 years boy on the YouTube.
Yes.
Really amazing. And
Yeah,
so
that's
many
right.
procedures. I mean, 6 complex procedures I guess in one go. It's like, it's very amazing.
No, great. That's what I'm saying. He's as Mr. Handa said, we want to bless the young ophthalmic society, plus him, to do more and more better than us and make India proud. That's my point.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. So we'll be in touch, sir. Mr.
Yeah.
Handa, I would like to do some session, not so much long. I know it is difficult for you to give me time, but 15 minutes a week I want, sir, so that I will use it.
My subject is spirituality and management. So once
I
when you
agree.
take me to healing, you take me into area which is medical.
No, sir. What I'm trying to say, because you are dealing with the medicine and treating, I want 15 minutes as a stimulation for me to start writing the book.
Yeah.
So maybe nowadays I have started writing notes. So I'm writing filling the diaries, which I'm doing daily. So I can convert into book. And I saw Rohit Shetty wife is doing that for him. So I will do that. So what I'm saying, sir, I'll need your 15 minutes a week.
Yeah, so wonderful.
Right.
Nice.
Thank you all.
And
Thank you,
you remind me of Dr. Bhola Vittal Shetty. You see, Dr. Bhola Vittal Shetty is being the US FDA director.
Okay.
And he did triple PhD there, and then he had 357 patents in his name. The metallozone, which is in India, he was the inventor of the molecule.
Okay.
And that means and he wrote 3 books. And in one of the books, he is even my photograph, and he mentioned, because we were the first, he has been very close to us. He undertook a lot of research, and 357 patents in his name. Xeroxolin was the brand which he had introduced, which was diuretic. And then thereafter very many, and he was first Indian to be the US FDA director.
Where is he now?
And he wrote 3 books thereafter. When he wrote the first, so then the second, and then the third. And there was one which he named it. He says the Indian Zero, an American Hero. That was the title.
Oh, and sir, where is he now?
No, he passed away 3 years back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a very senior doctor. I think he passed away at 92.
Okay.
And it was wonderful. So we had close association with them because we had technical tie-up. And now we have Dr. Rangan. Dr. Rangan has his own company in US.
Yeah, I know. Last time you had a meeting with him when I came.
Yeah.
And maybe you can ask him to give a talk to us, sir.
Yeah, right.
Good. Very good.
Thank you,
Karan.
Thank you
Really,
so much.
thanks for all your support.
At the end, sir, I'd like to thank my colleague, Mr. Hitendra Pumia, to be the host and provide us the platform. Thank you, Hitendra.
Tushar Das is who?
Sir, our Vice President.
Das is my senior Vice President.
Senior Vice President.
Thank him also.
He's a cluster head, so I think.
Thank you also. Thank him also.
Yes, sir. I was about to say. Thank you, sir, for joining us, Das, sir. Thank you, Hitendra.
Really great. I'm really enjoyed. Yeah, the Hitendra, thank you very much from our side.
Thank you so much, sir.
And I think
Karan will keep in touch.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks a lot. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Right.